Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, episode 190. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Matt.
Hey.
Connor's here too.
Yep, still here.
This is a DC Comics podcast. Every week we get together and talk about DC Comics that came out on the previous Wednesday. Coming up on this week's show, we have The Flash 86, Aquaman 56, Legion of Superheroes number 3, Jimmy Olsen number 7, Freedom Fighters issue 12, The Batman's Grave number 4, The Question, The Deaths of Vic Sage issue 2, The Lolo Woods issue 2, and then Connor's got a Patreon pick book of Undiscovered Country number 3. So that is what we're going to be talking about on this week's show. But it is, of course, Solicits week, so we have plenty to dive into before we even get to this week's books. It might also be a sales figures week.
Damn it, no, he said it. It's like one of those things, it's like the T-Rex, where if you don't move, he can't see you, which scientifically is not true.
Yes.
But in this, if you don't say it, he won't know.
Exactly. But no, I just thought maybe I'll forget. That's what that entire lead up of 45 minutes of BS talk was. If I keep stringing him along, he'll forget. But
yeah, we really did mean to start like 40 minutes ago. We just sat talking about nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Yep.
Movies coming out,
but
things like
everything.
that. Yeah, well, this is what happens on Comics from the Multiverse. So, got a lot of stuff to talk about. But, it's nice week, Matt. You do anything interesting?
I didn't do anything interesting, but the Golden Knights fired their coach and hired an enemy coach. So that's still taking some getting used to. First sports news in my lifetime that I legit had to sit down because I thought it was a joke. Like, I'm at work, I get an alert on my phone, I look, I was like, all right, who hacked the Golden Knights thing? They did not hire the former Sharks coach. Turns out they did.
Matt's
joke's on me.
This is something I didn't quite understand because in football over here, coaches and managers, they move to various teams all the time. There's no allegiances in that sense. Once they move on, they move on.
Oh no,
it's so common.
There's not with him. Like this is just a job, but to the fan base, this is our main, our main rivals coach who got sacked back in November. So he's been floating around without a job, and there were no rumblings about our coach even getting fired. So it was a 1-2 punch, right? It wasn't like they were looking for a coach, whatever. But yeah, it's what it is. The best memes have been, I'm not going to call him coach from Step Brothers. Like, I'm not going to call him dad. So yeah, it's been a weird week that way. But hey, they're 1-0 under him. So that's something, I guess.
I think I regret asking, honestly, how your week was, because that was in-depth hockey talk for a solid, 90 seconds.
Not my fault. I got no hockey to talk about, sorry.
Yeah.
Football, though, right? Huh?
That team's doing all right.
Let's not do that. This is a sports-free zone. Sports-free.
If you really want me to care about sales figures, you'll learn about sports and then present it to me in that way.
Hey, someone suggested we do a fantasy draft for sales figures.
No, not doing that. I hate fantasy sports as it is.
That's sports adjacent.
Yeah, but fantasy sports sucks.
Yeah, actually, I assume you didn't watch it, but the end of the Crisis on Infinite Earths was this week on the TV shows.
Haven't yet, but it's on the list.
All I will say, I won't spoil anything here because obviously this is not where we're talking about it, but I need Stargirl to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Better than those shows.
Hear about Stargirl? Yeah, you already like Stargirl, right?
Well, yeah,
off of JSA.
but
so yeah.
But there was a tease for it, and the tease was actually wanted me to be excited, but I don't want to be excited because.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're convinced it's going to be terrible.
Yes, I'm convinced it's going to be mediocre at best. So,
I mean, you do have Doom Patrol that you really enjoy, right?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Because that's pretty unconventional. I don't know how unconventional Stargirl will be.
Probably not very.
No, but it's John's.
But it's going on the CW, so.
Yeah.
So, it's just it's iffy. It's iffy. Also, that Superman show got greenlit this week, so news happened.
I'm excited. Might have to start watching CW again.
I just
Clark Part 2.
Yeah, I just quit. But I mean, I might still binge watch things occasionally when I can put them on as background noise, but I ain't keeping up with it.
That's what I mean. Like, when I was in my phase of watching them, I would wait like 4 episodes to go and then just sit down on a Saturday afternoon and bang those out.
I don't know if watching 4 episodes of current quality Flash back to back is something I would...
feasible.
That's why I stopped last year.
Yeah.
I got excited over XS. That turned to be a big old nothing burger, and I didn't finish. So,
that's
I'm a fan of that actress, though.
Season 6 is worse. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah, so I'm currently staying away. However, I did see, because, the internet can't help itself, I saw something that happened, and it made me slightly angry of a certain character showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And meeting Barry. And I was like, why?
It's not as bad as you think it is, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but come on.
It's just a little cameo. It doesn't really mean anything, but...
No, but still, the people are talking about that's why, DC is better than Marvel, because they're not afraid to do something like that. And someone was like, nah, characters showed up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. numerous times.
I mean, in the early days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that was the thing that happened. And it was, the ending was fairly good, but...
Those last, 5 minutes were actually pretty great.
Last 5 minutes were great, yes.
It's 5 episodes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
5 total episodes.
I'm off on Monday, so I might sit down and watch those.
It's good enough that I'd say, yeah, watch it. You won't regret.
No, I watch all of them. Even Invasion, as much as I hated that one, I was not a big fan of that first crossover. As I was watching it, I was like, why am I doing this? But since then they've been pretty decent. But yeah, of course I'm gonna watch Crisis. I just don't like how they broke it up this time.
Yeah, no, that was a bad idea.
It was a mistake.
They lost momentum, because even I was like, when I came back, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot more of this. They should have really just done this all in 1 week, so it'd still be exciting. But hey ho. So that is that. So I'll plug something here. Actually, I'll just plug once again our top 50 movies of the decade that everyone at MailFuzz TV did. All 3 of us plus Tim and Tara. First 3 parts of that are up now at the time of recording this one. So you can go have a look and get tons of movie recommendations should you wish. And I'm sure there's a couple of comic book movies that'll slip on there if they haven't already.
Yeah, definitely with mine. Well represented.
Yes,
because I'm that guy.
So I think we'll start with sales figures.
Son of a bitch.
That's sweet.
Let me just get something to get me through this.
Really? You need booze? Booze to get through sales figures?
You say this is a rum and coke anyway, so it's not like I'm not drinking.
It's a Cuba Libre, man. Wait.
Yeah.
What type of rum did you use?
Yeah, spiced rum.
I know, but what brand?
Oh, it's a cheaper one.
Okay, gotcha.
That's the smart price.
Actual Coke?
No.
No, not actual Coke.
No, it's Aldi's own Coke, which is the only own brand Coke I can drink, for whatever reason.
Really?
Yeah, I hate all the other own brand ones, but Aldi's is fine. I can drink that all right.
All of this discussion about the supermarket's own brand beverages is just delaying how long this is going to take. That's all this is doing.
I'm just asking, as someone that doesn't drink, but very interested in rum and whatnot. I had to know.
Yeah, no, I mean it's all right. I've got to put a dash of lime cordial in there as well, just to make it nice.
Fresh lime, man.
I didn't have any, so I mean,
you're at the supermarket to get the Coke, right?
Yeah, but
but they get limes.
Well, I didn't think of limes. I didn't get the Coke for this specifically. I just got Coke, and then I was like, oh yeah, shit.
So that's where your speak go.
Yeah, it's going to be a long episode if this keeps up. All right, so top 10 for the month of December 2019. I will make you guess what number 1 is.
It's Doomsday Clock.
Very good. Doomsday Clock 12 is in fact number 1 with 117,000 issues sold.
Oh, it's more than 117.
Yeah. So that's good. Obviously very good for it. Yep. Now, it is worth mentioning that the actual top 500 that goes out for the best books of the month aren't actually out yet.
Then why the hell are we doing sales figures this week?
You'll find out in a minute. There's a reason.
Do it next week when I'm not here and don't have to.
No. There's a reason. There's a.
No, let's get it out of the way. It's like a band-aid.
Quality
Pull
reason.
it off.
Yeah. Besides, next month's got Wonder Woman 750. Like, that's got plenty to make that show super long. We don't need sales figures next week.
Oh, you just have to miss them this month. What a shame.
Yeah. So number 2 is a Marvel book.
Some sort of X-Men book.
That is correct. It's X-Men number 3 with 105,000, which for a number 3 is actually pretty good. So, I mean, fair play to that. Number... What was that?
It's got the Hickman bump.
Oh, yeah, sure. Right. He's not writing that one, though, I don't think.
He is.
Yeah, X-Men. Yeah, he's doing X-Men and New Mutants. Percy's doing X-Factor, which I saw the first issue that I need to read.
I assumed there was an Uncanny X-Men that he was writing, and Adjectiveless X-Men was someone else.
No,
fair enough.
There is no Uncanny.
No Uncanny, just Adjectiveless.
Fair enough. Number 3 is a DC book.
Batman.
Batman is in the title, but it's not Batman itself.
Curse the White Knight.
Nope.
No.
It was the conclusion to a series.
It's the Azraella one.
What?
No.
Batman was ages ago, man.
It's the Snyder and Capullo one.
Yes,
last
night on Earth.
Yeah.
Last Night on Earth, number 3 with 90,000 copies. Number 4 is actually also a Batman book.
Batman?
Yeah, shocker.
Nope, it's not Batman. It's nothing we've said so far.
I mean,
I would count that as a Batman book.
I would. I was going to say Harleen as well.
Well, I mean, it is Batman adjacent, but I would not, in the context of giving you hints for this, I wouldn't call it a Batman book.
I don't remember what else came out in December. It was so long ago.
It was a one-shot.
I mean, they all came out at one time.
No, we did not read it.
There was a Batman one-shot we didn't read.
There's huge numbers as well. I love this. I love it. Number 4 is Dark Knight Returns, The Golden Child, issue 1.
Yeah.
I forgot it existed completely.
Me too. I put it so far out of my mind.
I literally would not have got there with 1,000 guesses.
Oh dear. So yeah, that's 90,000 copies. Oh, sorry, 88,000 copies. 90,000 was the last one. So number 5 is a Marvel book, and is it a number 1? Surprisingly, it's actually just.
Is it still an X-Men book?
It's not. It's just an ongoing book that's actually fairly high numbers for Marvel.
Ongoing? Yeah.
Is that what, sorry?
Hulk.
Nope.
Immortal.
Venom.
No.
It is Venom. Venom number 21 with 74,000 copies. That book's doing well.
Yeah, it's the start of the new arc, that was, so it's not surprising.
Number 6 is a DC comic, and it is a one-shot.
How many one-shots did they have last month?
Too many.
There was too many, because this was one of several that said you're the villain on it.
Yep.
Oh, actually,
Harley Quinn.
It's Harley Quinn, although I'll just correct that.
Villain of the Year.
Yeah, hers was titled slightly different to Villain of the Year.
Right.
Because it's weird.
Ow. That's good. That makes me happy for Mark Russell, because he wrote that. And his name should be moving more comics.
Yeah, but let's be honest, Harley Quinn's name moved more comics there.
Yeah, but still, it looks good. He can say, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Not that I believe he cares about how much she sells, but, you know.
I mean, everyone cares about how much they sell to a degree.
Yeah. Number 7, I don't think there's enough hints I could give you for you to guess this, because I don't think anyone knows it exists, because I didn't know it existed. Number 7 is Symbiote Spider-Man Alien Reality, number 1.
I know exactly what that is, thank you very much.
What is it?
Fair play.
I have no idea.
Sorry. Yeah, yes.
Okay.
71,000, that did. Number 8 is Incoming from Marvel.
That was Marvel's, they did it on like the last week of the year, like Christmas week.
Yeah.
It was like an 80 or 100 page one shot, which is like, here's all the upcoming stories for the year, essentially.
It was like a trailer. It's like what they did with the one that introduced the 1 million BC concept. I forget what that book was.
The one that knocked off the Rebirth one shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that did 69,000. Number 9 was Amazing Spider-Man 35. Number 10, I'll make you guess because it's a DC book.
White Knight.
Nope. It's an ongoing.
I'll keep on that one. Suicide Squad.
Nope.
Damn. Batman.
Number 10 is actually Superman, number 18.
Yeah, son of a bitch.
With 66,000
Because
copies.
he revealed.
Yep.
Speculators drove that up a bit, didn't they?
Yep, it drove it up.
Yep, yes, they did.
And for the record, we do have a Batman issue at number 12 and number 15 respectively. We have Harleen at number 13, Curse of the White Knight at 14. So
Man.
decent amount of DC
This
in the
might-
teens.
Yeah, this might be the first time that a Superman book in a very long time outsold Batman.
In terms of just the regular issues.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
absolutely,
Yeah, because obviously we have
Yeah,
Last
not
Night on
character.
Earth and, you know.
Yeah, no,
and
but I'm
I'm
talking
sure
about
there's
the
been,
title.
so
Yeah.
there might have been Superman one-shots that would outsell the
Yeah.
regular Batman title, but
Right.
in terms of just
But the
regular title for regular title, yeah, I can't remember the last time that happened.
Man, makes me mad that it's got to be a gimmick because that and Action have been trading of really good books.
Hmm.
People should be reading anyways.
So the reason that we actually have exactly the top 37 of December 2019, and there's a reason for that, because despite the fact that December's top list isn't out, 2019's top list is out. So these 37 were they were extrapolated from that. So that means that we get to have a second top 10 this month because we have top 10 of 2019.
I can tell you the top-selling book of the decade, if that helps.
Not yet. That's the third list we're going to go. So
I'm not
shut up.
participating.
Three bloody sales. Right.
Yeah,
I'm-
3 sales figures for one time. It's like, that's won't happen again until January 2030. 2030. So this was math there.
I'm being a conscientious objector here. I'm not participating.
Me and Matt will sit in silence from here on out.
That's fine. I'll sit and talk to
It's
myself.
fine. I'll watch the snooker.
That's fine. So Matt, go on.
Fine, I'll talk to myself.
Go on. Guess what number 1 of the year was, 2019.
Doomsday Clock.
Nope.
Okay.
It was a DC book though. DC did take the top spot.
Joker.
It was a special issue.
Of the year? Justice League.
No, it's Detective.
Detective 1000 was number 1
Uh,
for 2018
Because obviously,
with 574,000 copies.
hence all the other stupid specials we're getting.
Yes. More on that later. More on that when we get to Solicits. We got some opinions. Number 2 was Spawn 300 with 275,000. So Detective actually had more than double the predicts. Well, not more, but just around double-ish.
He really can't do maths today.
No, apparently not. Number 3 was X-Men number 1. Number 4, there's something fishy with this one, going on, to be honest. I don't know how this happened. But number 4 is Black Cat issue 1 with 261,000.
yeah, that was all the different variants, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel there must be more going on there because Marvel do a ton of variants for every number 1.
Yeah, something fishy. There's especially fishiness to get to when we get to the decade list. There's a lot of fishiness in there we'll talk about.
There's fishiness in just the number 1.
Yeah.
I say fishiness. I know exactly the answer, but
Yeah. Number 5 is a DC Comics number 1.
we
By
have new
our
books.
by our Lord and Savior.
Well, it wasn't Suicide Squad.
Deceased.
Deceased. Yeah.
Yeah, Deceased, number 1. There you go. See, not that hard. And that was number 5 with 250,000.
I was distracted.
Patron
There was
saint.
a fly on the snooker ball, and they were trying to get it off without moving the ball.
Jesus Christ. Number 6 was Absolute Carnage number 1 with 242,000 copies. That is too many. Number 7. Okay, this one's the complete bill. There's fishiness here. Marvel Comics 1000. 216,000 copies. Nah.
They had like 50 variants though for that.
Shenanigans. Shenanigans afoot. 8 and 9 respectively were House of X and Powers of X. I don't care if it's Powers of 10. I'm saying Powers of X. I don't care. bite me. So that was 8 and 9, and then number 10 was War of Realms number 1 with 193,000. Notable DC entries sort of beyond that. Batman Superman number 1 was at number 14. Deceased number 2 was at number 17.
What's the highest non-DC or Marvel?
Highest on well, that was Spawn, the number 2.
Oh yeah, okay. Other than that, then.
Other than that, Spawn 301 at number 11.
Wow, that retained more than expected.
I don't think it retains much beyond like the next couple, though. I think it like nosedives after like 303 or 304. But
yeah,
that's interesting. Not counting Spawn, the highest non-Marvel or DC. Here we are, as an image book. Walking Dead 192, which I believe was the death of Rick Grimes. So that was right before the ending.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Can't really argue.
The ending would have been up, at like number like 3 or 4 if they'd told people it was ending.
Very possibly, yeah. Very possibly. So, that's what it is. I think what's maybe interesting about this compared to, does this include reprints where maybe the regular monthly lists don't, perhaps?
You mean like second printings?
Second printings, yes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Maybe they're just counted separately, so they never chart, because obviously they're much lower because they're not new, but it's interesting.
I would be inclined to say they don't count for the same thing, because when they're on Diamond on previews, they do show up as second printing with a different code.
Yeah, and just for amusing sake, the number 500, because this is a top 500, number 500 is the Flash number 82 with 39,000.
Good.
I mean, out of 500, it's not that bad, really, but still.
I mean, out of 500, it is bad to be 500. Out of everything in the industry that year, it's quite good.
Well, yeah, because I mean, there's a top 500 every single month, so to be in the top 500 of the year means you're in the top 12th.
God, he's doing maths again.
That was accurate. The top 12th. That was an accurate sentence. So now we don't normally look at this, but I'll just quickly sort of give you the top 10 collections and graphic novels of the year.
Walking Dead Volume 1.
Walking Dead Volume 1. Does that appear on this? Not in the top 10?
That's a mild surprise, actually. That usually is in the
top 10.
Mm-hmm.
It usually is. Number 10 is Batman Damned hardcover.
Big selling.
Now, it's worth mentioning this is only the Diamond numbers, and these books are also sold through book distributors. So these are actually all the copies of these books that have been sold. This is purely the Diamond copies that go through comic book shops.
And it is worth noting that book distributors, the actual shops and Amazon, account for a higher amount than the comic book shops by quite a significant margin.
Yes, especially since even comic book shops sometimes order from them now, rather than Diamond. So that's number 10. Number 9 is a staple. It's an old book. It's been there often in the top 10.
Watchmen.
DC book, but not Watchmen.
Returns.
Oh, you cut up a bit there, Matt. What was that?
He said Dark Knight
Dark Knight Returns.
No, but you're on the right character.
It's year 1.
Nope.
Killing Joke.
Killing Joke's the right answer. That's number 9.
You just have to go through the Batman greatest hits that you recommend to people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Dark Knight Returns, year 1.
Those are all in the best-selling general zeitgeist that you see in even like non-bookstores. Like if I go into like a game, they'll have like Batman year 1.
Yeah, number 8 is Walking Dead Volume 31. So
I assume that was just the latest one.
Yeah, presumably. Number 7 was a DC book, and it was a new trade for 2019.
Deceased.
Nope. There's a sequel we're currently in the middle of.
They're in the middle of a sequel now?
Mm-hmm.
You counting? That's Doomsday Clock.
Nope.
No, that's what I mean. When he said when we're in the middle of, I was like, no, it can't be.
It's Batman.
Is it Dark Knight Returns?
No, it's White Knight.
One shot.
It's White Knight. God damn it.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, so Batman Went Down is number 7. Number 6 is Die Volume 1. So that's actually quite good because there's not a lot of.
Yeah, Gillen's books sell really well in the trade market.
Trade, yeah.
Yeah. Number 5 is Mr. Miracle.
Yeah, that's not too surprising.
By Tom King and Garrett's. So that's cool. Number 4 is Monstrous Volume 1. Apparently that's one of these evergreen sellers you get now from Image that just keeps selling.
I have a friend that's really into that book.
I read the first issue when it came out, and I really liked it, but it was like 80 pages or something was the first issue.
Yep.
And I thought, this is great, but I don't want to read this 20 pages at a time. And never went back to the trades yet. I've got like the first 3 trades in Comixology. I will get to them at some point.
All right, number 3. I'll make you guess this one because this is a volume 1 of something that is clearly only in this top 10 because it was propelled by having an adaptation came out this year.
Some sort of Joker book.
Not Joker.
Is it DC?
It's not DC. It's not even Marvel.
Oh, it's The Boys.
It's not The Boys.
Ah, son of a bitch.
That was a good guess, though.
I was convinced he had it for a second there.
You're thinking on the right wavelengths.
I can't remember what else came out this year.
Preacher's been over, though, right? So it can't be Preacher, is it?
Oh, I had this last season this year, so I think.
Yeah, but I got the impression it was something new, newly adapted this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was actually The Umbrella Academy, Volume 1.
Do you know what? That was so long ago in the year that I forgot that it was that year.
Yeah. Apparently it was been out of print, so it potentially could have actually taken number 1 spot if it had been in print, all year. So that's
have either of you read that book?
I've read the first 2 volumes. It's a blast.
I like the show. I can say I like the show. So
yeah. No, those books were. The third one was still ongoing when I read the first 2, so I waited for it to finish. So I'll get to that at some point.
I remember when it first started coming out, and then the speculators getting to it and driving it up, and then it going out of print. And
is
then,
that just because it was Jared Way?
Yeah, and that's what that was.
Yeah, I grabbed it on Comixology during a sale, probably around the time that the show hit, and no, it's real good.
Number 2 is a staple of these top 10s. It's been there every year for the last 5 or 6 years at this point. Any quick guesses to what this is?
Saga
Volume 1 is number 2. And then number 1, Matt was the first thing Matt guessed earlier. It's Watchmen. Was number 1.
I guessed Watchmen earlier.
Yeah, he guessed Watchmen.
Never mind that.
My go-to is Dark Knight Returns.
Well, Watchmen.
Give Matt my credit.
Watchmen's a staple, but it's also had an adaptation this year, or a sequel TV show, so it makes sense. It's worth mentioning though that the numbers on this, again, these are just the diamond numbers. Like number 10 is 14.2 thousand, and number 1 is just over 20,000. So there's not a big difference. Like there's a very gradual increase in numbers. Like the bottom.
Just to show you as well how different it is for the single issues in the comic market. Whereas the top end are 100,000, whereas the top end of this is a fifth of that.
Yeah, this is for the whole year. This is not just for
a month.
Yeah. It's because the bottom 3 on this were all only a couple of hundred separating between them, so it's it is what it is. But again, this is not counting the book market, which is bigger than the direct market for trades. So
yeah, I would also expect a lot of those to show up, like Watchmen, what else was the Saga, Walking Dead, probably. A lot of these I would expect to show up really high in the book charts as well. Which, I mean, you can find. You can look at New York Times bestsellers lists, and you'll see which ones pop up. And it's mostly similar things. I don't think there's anything on there that I would consider a surprise in terms of the difference between comic stores and bookstores.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the top 10 collections for the year. But we do have one more list to look at because it's also the end of a decade. So
Star Wars.
Star Wars number 1 is number 1 with just over 1 million copies. But of course, we have to mention the fact that this was vastly overshipped.
Yeah, I think, and also the key contributor to this number is that it was in a loot crate.
That actually goes for multiple things on this top 10. Because there was also like a Marvel version of Loot Crate at one point for a couple of these, and some other things. So that number's complete bullshit. And in fact, I remember hearing, this was maybe 2 years ago now, but this was still years after it came out, that lots of comic shops literally had stacks of issue 1 of Star Wars still sitting around because they just got so many.
I think it still sold pretty well, don't be wrong.
Yeah, it sold well by normal comic book standards, but not this ridiculous sum.
No, I think it did sell above average. It would still probably be in the, assuming you take away all of the shenanigans on all of these books, this would still be in the upper tier of this list, even for the decade. It sold well.
Yeah, it would probably in the top 20.
Maybe higher, but definitely top 20. But number 1 is definitely it game the system a bit.
Yeah. Number 2 is Detective Comics 1000. That's 574,000. Number 3 is
Action Comics?
No, it's not. It's Amazing Spider-Man number 1, and I'll specify which one that is. This is the 2014 number 1 because there was a couple of these throughout the decade. That had 559,000 copies. Number 4 was Secret Wars number 1 with 550,000. So
I smell shenanigans.
At least a lot of variants on that. I would guess. Number 5 was Action Comics 1000 with 504,000 copies. Not surprising that DC's 2 highest books were those 1000s.
And to be fair, those also had a shit ton of variants.
They did.
Yeah.
But I mean, Marvel do that for regular number 1s that happen all the time. DC did it for these.
And the thing I will say about the DC variants is, to my knowledge, on those particular ones, they weren't variants required by sales. They were just, the decade variants. Yeah. And they were split evenly, or you could order what you wanted. Some stores had their own unique variants, don't get me wrong. But it's not like the ones where, every 50 copies you get one of this variant. I don't think there was any.
All the decade variants, which were the regular set of variants, like they were all the same price. You could get all those for the same cover price. So that's good. Number 6 is Bravest Warriors Tales Hollow John. Matt, you make.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is either, though. Just to echo Matt's horribly distorted thoughts.
Yes. So that was 503,000 copies. Number 7, Orphan Black issue 1, 502,000. This was also part of a loot box or something similar. There's even a little indicator on here. In fact, the last one was too. So both of those were bumped heavily by being part of a free giveaway, essentially.
Shocking.
I know. Number 8 was Dark Knight 3 Master Race issue 1 with 449,000. It's a shame that's the 3rd highest DC book on this list, but that's what it is, I guess. Number 9 was Amazing Spider-Man 800 with 439,000. This was before the issue 1 that we previously brought up.
Was that long ago?
Yeah, this was way back at the early part of the decade.
It doesn't feel that long ago, that 800.
Because that was before Superior Spider-Man.
Yeah, see, in my memory, that was after Superior Spider-Man. That was after it changed back. But obviously it's not. But just in my memory, when I think about it, it was more recent than that.
Yeah. Number 10, also a loot box style thing where the numbers are bumped considerably, is Big Trouble in Little China / Escape from New York.
That deserves its place.
Because, 421,000 on that. Number 11, I'm going to do a few extras of these because obviously these are pretty juicy in terms of size here. Batman number 50 is next with 412,000. So
the wedding that never happened.
The wedding that never happened, yeah. 12 is Star Wars Vader Down issue 1 with 410,000.
And that's where I fell off.
That was the first big crossover they did. I mean, to be fair, the only real... No, they had the Screaming Citadel one. So that was the first big crossover that they had between...
Oh, no, actually, Screaming Citadel is where I fell off. Vader Down was good.
Yeah.
That was Vader and Star Wars crossover. Once they crossed over after, I was like...
Too many. Yeah. Yeah, they're relaunching Afra in the next...
Yeah, well, and apparently we're getting Afra on The Mandalorian, if that thing's true.
Allegedly played by Chloe Bennett. Which
makes me mad because I don't like the Afra character.
How can you not like her? She's Star Wars female Indiana Jones. Just a bit of a scumbag at the same time.
Yeah, but
it's Indiana Jones meets Han Solo, but female.
But I don't need it. I don't need that in my
Vegan,
Star
but,
Wars.
like,
No.
You not liking that is so unlike you.
It was really Gillen's dialogue and stuff I just did not like.
Yeah, it's not
'Cause I
Gillen
love-
anymore anyway. It's Iceberry, I believe.
Yeah, but I did love BT and 000.
000. Oh, I love those two.
Yeah, so hopefully they have cameos.
Mm-hmm.
I need my murder bots.
Number 13 was Civil War 2, number 1, with 381,000. I know.
That's where I fell out of Marvel.
Yeah, a lot of Marvel event number ones kicking about here. Walking Dead 100, number 14 here in the list.
Not surprising.
Yeah, 384,000 copies. Number 15, Fantastic Four, number 1 from just last year or so.
Yeah, that's what's his name? Spider-Man guy.
Yeah.
Slot. There you go.
Yeah, and then 16 is Harley Quinn issue 1. This is the Rebirth issue 1, so this is from 2016.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Which one?
There's been a few this decade.
There was at least 2. There was the New 52 one and then the Rebirth one.
Yeah. I was going to say there was 2 in Rebirth, but I think I'm thinking of Suicide Squad. Because there was 2 Suicide Squads, if I remember right.
It was.
Yeah. Champions number 1 is number 17 with 334,000. And then 18 and 19 are Walking Dead issues 115 and 132 respectively.
Presumably key issues for some reason or another that I don't recall.
Yeah, I would suspect so. And then 20 20 is I'd forgotten this book existed. The John's Justice League of America number 1. This was the one that had all the state variants and New 52.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I bought 2 of those.
Do you know what's funny is I nearly brought this up when we were talking about one of the other Marvel books that I said had like 50 variants. And I said, I almost said, I think it had more variants than the JLA States variants. And then for whatever reason, I didn't make that comment. And now I regret it because it would have been nice foreshadowing.
Yeah. Oh, well. But yeah, that's basically where I'll stop. Just a couple of interesting ones that you may be interested in.
I'll stop, but here's some more.
Well, when I say stop, I mean stop going through them one by one. But I'm going to point out a couple of notable names that are sticking out at me. In particular, DC Rebirth issue 1. I assumed that would be a curious placement.
We're not curious about any of these.
What's that? You're curious, Connor? Oh, yeah, I'll tell you. This was at number 25 with 305,000. So fairly high on the list. Again, this is for the decade, so this is, everything that's high up here is, should be proud of its place, unless you cheated because you're a Marvel number 1 with shady dealings. In which case, and that's a lot of these, let's be honest. There's a lot of...
Honestly, how many of those Marvel books didn't cheat at all? Like, I don't think there's many.
Maybe in the first half of the decade. I feel like the back half of the decade, it was pretty consistent.
But yeah.
So it's hard to say. It's hard to say for sure. Like Avengers vs X-Men number 1 at number 39, for example. Like, I mean, that was just the start of a Marvel event. That might have just been...
Yeah, it probably had some variants, but I don't recall that being extravagant.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There's so many number 1s. Like I'm just scrolling, and there's so much of the column that has the issue numbers just number 1s.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
It makes a lot of sense. And then just for fun, looking at the last one, what's number 500 for the decade? Oh, sorry, number 300. It's top 300, not 500. Number 300 is House of X, number 2.
Wow.
So that's where you get to if you go down 300 issues for the decade.
What's that sales-wise still, or does it not tell you?
Oh, it tells me 124,000.
So we're still above 100,000 comfortably.
Yeah. Might still be 100,000 if we're top 500 because it makes sense as the closer we get to it, the smaller the increments are getting.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It is worth mentioning that comic sales for the year were up overall by a few percent. So.
Sorry, Paige just texted me. She's been watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because she's watching it because the Oscar. She just texted me going, "Well, that's time I ain't ever getting back."
You guys.
Yeah, you two deserve each other, you cretins.
Yeah.
It's so terrible.
It's not terrible.
No,
it's
not.
Great.
I'm not having you slander that movie.
It's
That's
such a
movie.
meandering, disparate waste of time.
I can't. If they do the mini on Netflix, I am gonna watch the shit out of it.
Yeah, the extended miniseries version. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, really good. To quote myself, better than Last Jedi.
I also feel like you'd say that to a shot in the nuts, Pete.
I mean, true, but I'm specifically using it in this example.
Do you know what he didn't say it about?
What?
Rise of Skywalker.
That was just mean.
Wait, what? I'm confused.
You didn't say Rise of Skywalker was better than Last Jedi.
Of course I know.
Right, that's what he's...
That's what I said.
Yeah, so that's even worse than everything we're talking about, yes.
I feel like Pete just kind of went right over his head.
No, I just don't understand why it's funny.
Because you said that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is better than Last Jedi.
Yes.
Right? And then I said, yeah, but you said about shot in the nuts. And then he said, but you know what he didn't say it about? And then he said, Rise of Skywalker. So
it's ragging on Rise of Skywalker.
Right.
That's all it is. It's saying Rise of Skywalker is worse than Last Jedi. That's all the joke was.
It's not much of a joke. I mean, it's just we all agree that that's worse. I don't.
And I get called the robot.
It's not that funny.
No, you're not a robot. You're Ginger. That's different. Pete's always been the robot. He's the vampire robot because he keeps odd hours, and then stuff like this happens. Does not compute.
So here's just one last little bit of thing I'm going to ask you here, based on these sales figures.
Yes.
What year do you think had the highest number of books in this top list of the decade?
Probably a later year because they were gaming the system more. 2017, I don't know.
No, I was at 2011.
Is it 2011? The answer is 2015 with 55 entries.
Well, I was closer, so.
And then 2016 second with 44. Interestingly, Matt's pick of 2011 is actually right near the bottom with 23.
Well, shoot.
The lowest.
I guess he was thinking that because it was the start of the New 52, and there was a whole slate of things.
Marvel Now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was a whole bunch of stuff at the same time.
Yeah, the lowest is 2010 with only 8. So, yeah, maybe they were right to do all those relaunches because 2010 didn't have clearly wasn't selling as many books.
Yeah,
because these later years did. So, fair enough. That said, that's I mean that's not a fair comparison though because, okay, sure, maybe there's higher highs for these later years, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the actual average say was much worse. Even though it's fine, we know it's fine, but I'm just saying that. Yeah. To actually compare it properly, you'd have to really do a lot more analysis. But hey,
for issue, number for number, yeah.
Yeah. So that is all your sales figures. That is your supersized sales figures talk for the month. Next month rather, we'll be back to just having the 1 month to talk about. I know.
Can we not take 3 months off?
I know it's not as exciting. I know we all want more sales figures talk.
Speaking of time, I'll never get back.
Oh dear. Hey, I'll agree that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was more entertaining than that conversation. I'll agree to that.
I'm not sure I agree to that.
Yes, but that's why you're the worst. So that'll take us on to the Solicits, which came out for the month of April 2020. So we're going to work our way through these, point out the newest interesting stuff and anything that sticks out as being weird. Everyone's so happy and cheery. I love it.
We've been here so long already. We've been on this Skype call for over an hour. And my God, we're only just at Solicits.
That's right. We're gonna breeze through reviews though, so it's fine.
He says that incoming rant about the Flash from Matt.
Oh, don't get me started.
Exactly. Okay.
About a freaking snack.
So first things, I've got some nuts. I've got some spicy chili nuts.
As soon as you guys start talking about a book, I'm not talking about. I'm off to get food.
Yeah. Oh, these are from when you're talking about Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
Or Connor's going blabbing on about Undiscovered Country for 25 minutes. Well,
it has never been more than like 12 minutes.
Thinking about this. Oh, that first one was dropped. That was like a solid chunk of time. I was like dozing 12 off.
Minutes.
Dozing off. We can go back and check those timestamps. It's not even that hard to check. So. Is Connor checking? It looks like he's checking. He's over there.
I don't know what episode it was on.
Anyway, so I'm going to do these first two slightly out of order just because I wanted to tell the story of the week and discovering these, because they revealed that there was going to be because we were joking, right? So when March Solicits hit, and obviously January has the Wonder Woman 750, right? February has the Robin, February has the Flash 750, and then March came out and it was like, and we were like, oh, it's funny they've got two of those back to back. That's a bit cheeky, but whatever, we'll let them away with it after having one per year from the previous 2 years of these big issues. And then March had Robin's 80th anniversary, 100-page or 80-page special, whatever it is. And we got a bit cynical and thought,
there's got to be one of these every month, isn't there?
We speculated that there may be one every month. What we, however, did not suspect was that April would have two of these things, because earlier in the week they revealed that the Catwoman 80th anniversary special was happening, and I was like, oh god, another one. This is kind of devaluing these. And then, like, a day and a half later, they revealed the Joker 80th anniversary special. So these feel so devalued at this point and just feel like a cash grab. We were originally planning on doing special individual episodes for Flash and Wonder Woman. We're actually not going to do that anymore. Wonder Woman will just be in the episode next week. And whether or not we read these or decide how much we want to read of these, if we don't want to read all the stories, will just happen on an issue by issue basis. Some of these happen to fall on like light weeks, like the Robin one does, so we'll probably read all of that. But some of them don't. The Catwoman one falls on a normal week, for example, so we'll see how that goes. But they don't feel special anymore. They've ruined these feeling like a big event. Now they just feel like a cash grab.
I get why Catwoman and Joker though, because they've been with Batman since the beginning. Mm-hmm. We need something that's massive.
I know.
That's what I get. Like, celebrate the characters. They are long lasting, right? Like, you can't have a discussion about Batman without bringing up Catwoman or the Joker.
It's just a pain because, like, I get that they want to hit it in the month they actually have the anniversary, as opposed to doing like it spread out throughout the year. But that would be the wiser move for me, I think, is to spread them out. But hey ho. So Joker 80th anniversary 100-page super spectacular issue 1, with writers including Bryan Azzarello, Paul Dini, Dennis O'Neil, Scott Snyder, Tom Taylor. Tom Taylor. I need to read some of this now. And James Tynion IV. So can't deny that they've whipped out some big names for that. We also have art by the following people: Raphael Albuquerque, Lieber Hermo, Simon Benasci, Tony S. Daniel,
Simone Bianchi.
What did I say?
It's not that. You said Simon Bianchi. Simone Bianchi.
All right, sorry. Apologies to Simone. Apologies. Tony S. Daniel, Mikel Yanin, Jock, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, Eduardo Rizzo, Riley Rosmo, and more. So a whole bunch of things. The covers, but the main covers by Greg Capullo, and like with all these big specials, they've got the decade variants. So I'll read you out those two. 1940s is by Arthur Adams, 50s is by David Finch, 60s is by Francesco Mattina, 70s is by Jim Lee and Scott Williams. Jim Lee can't even make a cover on time. He's got a co-artist on the cover. 80s is by Bill Sienkiewicz. 90s is Gabriel Dell'Otto, 2000s is Lieber Hermo, and 2010s is Jock, which makes sense. So
I bet the Jock one's gonna look great.
Yeah, so this is on week 5 of April. So this one is pretty safe to be read, just because there's like 2 other books that we're doing that week. So easy enough. Because luckily the annuals that are coming out for the most part are books that we don't read. So it's actually a very light week 5. It'll be a Joker special and questions episode, is my guess. But assuming there's no delays.
It's hard to care, even though like Tynan's tweeting going, hey, this is his story is a lead into part of his Batman run. It's going to be, his a Joker war that we'll get to more later, I suppose. But it's hard to care now when there's so many of these.
Yeah, it's hard. They don't feel special anymore. But like you say, there is always going to be these 1 or 2 that are actually relevant to what's going on. So
yeah, it's like Wonder Woman for us feels more skippable than Flash in the sense that we're not reading Wonder Woman's ongoing, whereas we are Flash, so that part of the story will be more relevant. But
as saying at the same time, though, it is doing the continuity correcting story as well, which feels important. But
which is bigger scope.
Yeah, I feel like ultimately I'm going to read at least part of all of these. I might cut some of it out because of time, because there's a lot of stories, and hey, I can read these like 3 notable stories and skip some of these ones. Admittedly,
I wish I'd done that more this week as well.
Burn.
Okay. That was a dig. Clearly a couple of specific books. And then obviously we have Catwoman 80th anniversary, 100-page super spectacular issue 1. Similar idea. Where's my writer list here? It's a little bit different format. Okay, so writers we got confirmed here are Ed Brubaker, Paul Dini, Tom King, Anne Lachenti, Mindy Noel, Will Pfeiffer, and more. And then art including Cameron Stewart, Michael Yannin, Adam Hughes, Emanuela Lupacino, Steve Rude, Jim Balent, Tula Lote, and more. So again, a lot of big names, some of whom have been...
That is a murderer's row of artists for Catwoman.
Very, very heavily associated artists and writers as well for a lot of them who have worked on
for better
in the
and
past.
for worse.
Yes.
Yeah, so more so than the Joker one, this one has more things that I want to read. With you have Brubaker coming back to DC for the first time in forever, and it says in the solicit that it takes place at the end of the Brubaker Stewart Catwoman run in honor of Darwin Cook.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Like, I know Brubaker can be salty when it comes to superhero comics, but the fact that he's willing to do this for Darwin,
it'll be like 10 pages, if that.
Yeah,
and it's on,
still, that's how they get him back, right? That's Rucka. There's only a couple, and then they got him right in Wendy.
I'm not expecting this to lead to more Brubaker stuff, but you never know. There's always the hope.
But it opens the door, and with everything like at Hill House, I imagine if he has a horror story, right? That he doesn't feel, part of his image stuff with help me out, Connor. Sean Phillips. Yeah. Maybe he wants to bring it over to Hill House. I don't know. Or he has a Black Label idea. Like,
very possibly. I feel like if you get Brubaker on something, it probably will be a Black Label book. I don't think it'll be continuity. But
I don't think he's coming back to traditional superhero, right? But something at DC, labeled by DC.
What really Matt's saying is he just wants an excuse to have to read it.
That said, though,
I'm gonna read it anyway.
Yeah. That said, though, obviously his Captain America is such a bigly, widely accepted, all-time great run that you do kind of have to think and go, what could he do with certain characters? Like, I feel like, Brubaker, if given, like, say, I know Bendis, we're going to get to Checkmate a little bit later, but I imagine, Brubaker on Checkmate or something like that, or Brubaker on...
The problem is he needs less editorial oversight. And DC are big on the editorial right now.
Yep. No, that's true. The variant...
A side tangent, but before we move on.
I'm not on yet. I'm doing covers first.
Fine, I'll give you shit after.
Jesus Christ. 40s variant is Adam Hughes. 50s variant is Travis Charest. 60s is Art Germ. 70s is Frank Cho. 80s is J. Scott Campbell. 90s is Gabrielle Dell'Otto. 2000s is Jim Lee and Scott Williams. Again, he's got that co-artist there. And then 2010s is Ji Hyung Lee, if I'm saying that right. So,
to be fair, I think Jim Lee's had that co-artist for a lot of things now. Going back to
I know, I'm just cracking a joke.
When he started the Suicide Squad book a few years ago, he had the Scott Williams as a co-artist. So it's been a while.
So I definitely want to see the 40s Adam Hughes, right? And then thinking of the costume, the 90s, which was that purple suit, like much more of a by Dell'Otto.
The 60s Art Germ should be nice as well.
See, I'm not a big fan of Art Germ like you guys are, but sure. But yeah. I wonder if J. Scott Campbell's gonna. Although with the 90s, you could throw in the return suit, which I'm not a big fan of.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be a wide variety of our suits throughout all these covers.
Probably.
My favorite Catwoman suit definitely is the more tactical, where she has the goggles that make the cat ears.
The Hush era. Joelle Jones is doing the regular cover for the record as well.
Yep.
So that's good. All right, what did you want to complain about?
I'm giving you shit.
For what?
So I went and checked, trying to find the timestamp and see how long I spoke about that first issue of Undiscovered Country. You didn't even timestamp it. I can't find it. I've been through like 15 episodes trying to find this. It is not in the timestamps.
You're mistaken.
Oh, I'm not.
I think you're mistaken.
I have gone through. I went from the last issue, went back 4 weeks, then went back a couple more things, and maybe I got delayed, and then I went, well, maybe I'm being generous. Maybe it was only 3 weeks. I've been through so many. I'm back in like the start of October now, like going through. I've gone back from December through all the way to October. I'm like, this is not here.
You've done every week. You've actually looked at every single week.
Every single. I'm in the YouTube playlist, just clicking through it, looking at the timestamps.
I don't have time to check right now, but I'm fairly certain it's there. I'm fairly certain. And we'll find out. I think you've just missed it. You've been scanning too quickly. You've been thrown for a loop. I know English is not your strong suit, and you've not quite caught it. So
we want to talk about the history of the English language again, like we did before we started recording.
Pete literally walked off and started talking about that.
Only if you want the show to be super long. I mean,
no.
Well, I shall move on to the next book then, which is Event Leviathan Checkmate issue 1 of 6. So this is the sequel. So there's a one-shot coming, of course, whatever that's called, Leviathan something. And then we're getting Event Leviathan Checkmate issue 1. So Event Leviathan's actually a series of minis now. That's what it has become.
And that is the most Bendis thing he could do.
Yeah,
that's what Bendis is known for over at Marvel. Oh my god, I'm so excited.
And obviously, as Bendis and as Lemire is back as well in the art, so it's going to feel like a true continuation of that. So that's on sale on the 22nd of April. So no, cool. Cover is kind of neat. It's got Green Arrow on there. And given that there's no Green Arrow book right now, it's nice to get a little bit of Green Arrow occasionally.
Yeah, and like I would never pick Ollie for the spy type, but Bendis's Ollie fits in really well. So
to be fair, on that point, we would never have said that about Dick Grayson until Grayson happened, and it's like, yeah.
No, that's what I mean. And the hands, I would never think of him of Oliver Queen in the spy world, but
yeah,
I mean, if someone's gonna be close to James Bond, why not Ollie Queen? Right?
It's true. Yeah.
So, but yeah, Connor tagged me with this when the Solicits came out this week, and about my reread, which now I have to finish.
Oh,
so now I will be going. Well, no, because there's 2 books. I finished the first book.
Oh, I thought you'd done both.
No, so I need to go buy book 2 physically, because I could buy it digitally, but then it'd be missing from my shelf. So yeah.
Next up is Strange Adventures issue 2, and King did confirm that the second main character of this book is Mr. Terrific, which was actually what people speculated a long time ago because of a page that was in Heroes in Crisis. There was a page with him and Mr. Terrific, and turns out it was a little hint. So that is cool. So that's issue 2 of 12, and it is a longer book, so it's $5 per issue. So keep that in mind.
I like that they're doing the alternating covers for like both of them still, and like it's the same pose but like just different backgrounds.
Yep. So that's Strange Adventures issue 2. We got Batman 92 and 93. Looking forward to checking out more of Tynion's run, of course. The unfortunate news here is that both issues have art by Gilliam March. So
I know that hurt when I read that.
I know.
Also, what is weird is both these issues have the cardstock variants. Usually because DC have been doing the cardstock variants for maybe 4 or 5 months now, but it's typically only been one issue of the double shipping things has had it in a month.
I guess they're doing well.
The
only downside to this is that when we get to the sales chart is that it breaks them up, so it looks like they're all selling worse. But other than that,
so we have to actually manually add them up and figure out where it falls.
And if shop sells the covers not covers, the books in bags and boards already, make sure you make stock if you don't want to pay the extra $1, because it looks just a very nice variant, and then there's an extra $1 charge on. Doesn't feel nice.
The internet's fighting against Matt today, apparently, for some reason.
I think we got the gist of it.
Yeah.
His shop bags and boards, his comics, and he clearly does not notice when some of them are cardstock until he gets to the till and has to pay the extra $1. And he's not really happy about it.
Because I just grab them and they all feel like comics, right?
Yeah. That cover that's there for Batman, I quite like. The chest one. It's like penguins picking up a Deathstroke chess piece.
Yeah. Who is that on Batman's left as we look at him? Because obviously you got Riddler on the right, Deathstroke above him.
It looks like someone ninja-y.
Ninja-y, assassin-y.
Could be a new character.
Could be.
It's not Cheshire.
Well, Tynan said he was going to introduce new villains, so I mean...
Yeah, no, this is cool. And the second issue mentions, Joker War is coming. That's the big event that we're leading into over the summer for Batman. It's
cool.
Tynan's story in Joker's one-shot is setting up.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it'd have been nice to have a longer break from Joker, just given, like, he's been in Justice League and so on.
It's his 80th.
True, that's true, yes. Timing was not good for it, I suppose.
And we have to capitalize on the fact that there's a Joker movie just hit, and it might sweep up some awards.
That's true, yeah.
What I gotta say about that?
Still better than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, no, you take that back.
How dare you?
Oh, no.
Well, I mean, for a start, it's like 45 minutes less, so it's less painful.
I'm going to start listing movies that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is better than. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is better than Baby Driver.
No, come on.
Even Matt's not entirely on your side on that one.
I like Baby Driver, but come on.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is better than anything Kevin Smith's ever made.
Clearly, you've not seen Tusk or Clerks.
I'm sorry, Matt. Am I jabbing you too much with this as well?
I feel like I'm getting shrapnel. Like I'm just here to watch. I'm the guy at the car race that when it flips, the tire pops up and hits me.
All right. Next up, we have Deceased Unkillables number 3. This is the final because these are remember these are 3 double-sized issues. So that's the final issue. Tom Taylor, of course. They've got a cover there that's like the Suicide Squad movie posters.
Yeah,
it's kind of nice.
It's a very nice cover, yeah. But it's got a lot of villains. It's interesting.
I like Captain Cold there, just with bang underneath.
Yep. And that gorgeous Matina variant, those dead shots. These massive
dead shot.
Yeah, those good.
Just shot.
I nearly said that and then went, nah, that's shit.
No, I did it.
Yes. So a couple of those, graphic novels that come out for the youth, is it aware? For the youth. You get Primer.
That's one for kids, this one.
Yeah. Then you got You Brought Me the Ocean.
That's for the young adults.
And then we got Wonder Woman Tempest Tossed.
Yep, also young adults. I actually really like the cover on that, which I assume is representative of the art, because I think it's the same eyes.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm intrigued.
Yep. So that's out. So now we got into the rest of the bulk of the issues. We got Action Comics 1022. Unfortunately, John Romita Jr. is still on art. That is a bad sign. I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't like it. And they're gonna massacre my boy.
Between Batman and Action Comics, we just have to put up with shitty art for a while. By the looks of it.
Yeah, you've got a Young Justice crossover in this one, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this. And Connor Kent's going to play heavily into this one. And I'm going to have to look at him with the caveman forehead.
I mean,
because JR's doing it.
Look at him on that cover.
No, I'm not going to look. It makes me mad.
You're going to buy it and have to look eventually.
Oh my god, his lips look like...
I don't know. Look now.
I mean...
Oh, son of a bitch.
The lips look like they're from like a toy as opposed to real person's lips. As bizarre as that sounds.
Look at how great that Lucio Perillo cover is. The variant.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to get that.
Beautiful painted cover. Superman carrying Lois.
So it's funny because I shit on Superman in Action in just in the sense I don't really like Bendis. I don't think they're actually bad quality books. They're not for me. But it has got consistently up until like 2 months ago great artists on both the books, and then you just got stuck with Romita Jr. and I don't know what happened. I don't know what bet Bendis lost.
He lost the DC Comics company game of darts or something. I don't know. And that was it.
He's a compulsive gambler like Michael Jordan. This was the bet that he came up the other end of.
Maybe he lost a game of Injustice, the Injustice tournament that they all play at the office.
And he got his ass whooped, and because of that, he has to put up with Romita Jr. Next up, Amethyst number 3.
I'm still really looking forward to that.
I'm actually not. Ever since those preview pages last week, I'm actually just kind of assuming it's not for me. I'll try it, but I don't think I'm going to like it.
I didn't look at the preview pages, admittedly.
I didn't really look at. I just saw them. Like I didn't even read them.
It looks a little bit too Cartoon Networky for me, but I'm still gonna check out the first issue.
Yeah. So we'll see. Aquaman 59 is Kelly Sue. I actually because I was surprised this week when I read the book and it was Kelly Higgins, and I went back and checked the solicits for the month, and it was always meant to be Kelly Higgins as a guest writer.
Yeah.
I just forgot about it.
You know what? I know,
Me too.
I'm the same, and I didn't realize till the end of the issue because I was reading it. I was like, something's not right here.
Yeah,
These voices
I did the
feel
same
off.
thing, Connor.
And then I got to because the credits page at the end and it says Higgins. I went, oh, that explains it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I chalked it up too because it's a flashback style story. So I was like, oh well, DeConnick's just trying to write an era, back when this happened. And then I was like, oh, it's Higgins. Oh, okay, this checks out now.
Oh
yeah.
So that's cool.
Look at
Batgirl.
that Cedric cover though.
Oh, I know.
Cedric cover? Oh, hello.
Yeah, Cedric of Aquaman.
Yeah,
It's incredible.
It's actually beautiful. Yeah.
Oh.
To be fair, both those covers are fantastic.
Looks a little weird.
Not just that, Cedric Trench. Can we just talk about Cedric Trench at the bottom of that cover?
Yeah, those things are terrifyingly fantastic.
I'm in it. I'm into it. Batgirl 46, still Cecil Castellucci. Let's look at this variant cover.
I like it.
The face isn't quite working for me, but I like.
I think it's just like the ears are really round, but I really like it still.
I like everything but the face on that cover.
I like everything but the ears, which is very specific. And her
this
ears,
is why you're
the
not having any luck
not
on Tinder.
Very good, very
not
good.
the bat ears either, just her ears that I don't like.
And we got Batman The Outsiders number 12. Continuing as it is. Batman Beyond 43. One of the 2 or 3 only books still with the original writer from the start of Rebirth. Dan Jurgens is still in this book. Him and Williamson, I think at this point, are the only 2.
I'll be honest. Jurgens just like, hey, they're like, it's Batman Beyond, do whatever you want.
Exactly. And Jurgens, I respect that this dude's just a workman that he's like, I'll keep writing Terry McGinnis. I don't care.
Batman vs Ra's al Ghul number 6.
Skip.
6 of 6. This is the Neil Adams book. Batman Superman number 9 is out.
Start of a new arc. The first arc past the event, I believe.
Oh, that's cool. Nice to see it do something different that's not tied to all the other stuff.
Yeah, and this is where I feel like it's gonna be pass or fail. Yeah, make or break. But was it in Supergirl that we were getting Atomic Skull as a supporting character?
It
or
was at the start of Rebirth.
That was Superwoman, right?
Oh, Superwoman.
Or was it Supergirl?
It might have been Superwoman.
Superwoman.
Okay. So the fact that in this world, Atomic Skull's just been keeping on until Batman Superman, where they're going to investigate his death, which I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because Atomic Skull, correct if I'm wrong, was doing DEO stuff.
Yeah, it was rehabilitated. He was helping the DEO. Catwoman number 22. A new creative team in this, and it is a permanent new creative team. It's not a guest writer.
Which this was conflicting because I was like, "Oh, new team, that's exciting!" And then I read the solicit and went, "Ugh, I kind of hate the sound of this."
Oh, I'm going to read it then, since you said that. Ever seen those hot pink vans stationed around town? That's like, even the start of the sentence is weird for a solicit. Ever seen those hot pink vans stationed around town advertising sexy maids who'll come clean your house? No, but continue. Little did you know, those sexy maids are actually part of a secret underground sting operation that only Catwoman can claw her way through to find the artifact they've stolen. It's leather versus lingerie in this epic catches. Oh my, this sounds so pandering.
It sounds
campy. This is going to be cheesecake to the max.
This sounds like page 7 is going to have like Selena in a pillow fight in her underwear. This is what it sounds like.
I would not be surprised if that is completely true. Maybe it'll be page 9. We'll give him some credit, but
I will say though, it's got a Lupacino cover that looks pretty dang good.
It is nice because Lupacino can draw.
Yeah.
Whatever she wants.
What? Such in-depth critique from Connor. Lupacino can draw. That's what we got out of him today.
That's clearly a strong compliment.
Okay. So the artist that's coming on did a lot of work on Bombshells. So
to be fair, the art in that was all right. It was cheesecake, but it was kind of intentional in the style of Bombshells. It was the pin-up style. So it worked in that book.
What's the word you're looking for? Classy cheesecake, I guess.
Yeah. Whereas I don't think this sounds particularly classy.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yes, classy
But yeah,
cheesecake. Yes.
When it said Hot Pink Vans, I immediately thought of shoes. And I was like, wait, no. Let's not check out.
That tells you everything you need to know about Matt.
We got Detective Comics 1022. So that's still, Tomasi. It's got.
But look at that variant.
Yeah, the Behermo variant is pretty nice. Two-Face.
Matt's gonna want it because he loves Two-Face and he loves the mayo.
I do, but then I don't want the Church of the Two. What are we doing? Come on, Tomasi.
There. We have Flash 753 and 754.
We're doing Flash Age interlude and then
Flash Age continues. Yes. I saw the variant for the second one there, 754, was kicking around Twitter. He's got this weird outfit
Rafa,
on.
Grandpa.
Yeah. He's got this weird, overly designed outfit.
To be fair, it was the idea was he's done a take on it as an actual like a runner's outfit, and I think in that context, as a variant, it's fine. It's never going to be the main costume. I don't think it's ever intended to be the main costume. It's just because the whole point of the variant is Flash stretching, doing his warm up stretch before a run.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the context of that, it's perfectly fine. It looks good as a runner's outfit. As a Flash costume, no, not at all.
It's too busy still.
Yeah.
Sometimes
even as a runner's outfit. So
sometimes Carr prattles on. Like he decides to defend something. He sits there and he.
Lupacino draws good.
Yeah. Do you know who doesn't?
Are we done? Okay, right. I'll move on.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah, Flash Annual number 3. So that's obviously out in the week 5. The one annual that we will be covering because we obviously read the Flash.
Yeah, David Marquez cover. That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Got, Taylor's Suicide Squad team. In it.
Yeah. Captain Boomerang obviously being a core feature since he's obviously related to Flash. So Genlock issue 6, which is not a thing we look at, of course. Green Lantern season 2 issue 3 is
just
soldiering
something
on.
really exciting about this. It's bringing back Cowgirl.
I know.
What? Cowgirl from the start of Johnsy's run.
Jillian.
Yeah.
I love that run, but it annoyed me so much that she just kind of disappeared after
And this is quintessential Morrison to go, hey, that character who you like that just vanished.
Yeah.
I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, she did become a Star Sapphire, did she not?
Did she?
I don't remember that, but I mean, it's been a while.
I feel like they tried to recruit her at the beginning of all that. I'm looking this up. Gotta watch my Google search
it was
with that word.
If they did, it was fairly early.
Thank you, Pete, for getting that.
That's just Googling cowboy girl.
But yeah, no, I'm excited to see Cowgirl back in Green Lantern.
Yeah. Also, can we get a new call sign for Hal Jordan as someone that struggled with alcoholism? Maybe Highball isn't the best call sign.
Yeah, to be fair, it's been again. That's another one where it's been so long since anyone's used Highball.
No, I know.
I'll be honest. If you'd asked me before I read the solicit again what his call sign was as a pilot, I would not have been able to tell you.
Oh, well, because you're like me and Connor are clearly. Like we live for that shit, right?
Yeah.
Just me?
Yeah. No. I'm there. Tiny. This is why me and Matt are as into Star Wars as we are. The tiny details with all the extended universe stuff.
All the shite, aye. Harley Quinn 72, of course, is continuing with Sam Humphries. Harley Quinn, The Birds of Prey issue 2 with Palmiotti and Connor. So that's ongoing. Although it's worth mentioning that is a 4-issue bi-monthly Black Label book. Just to remind you of that.
Yeah.
So
and it's more in the vein of Joker Killer Smile, that it's not incredibly long.
Yeah.
Yes. So the pages are oversized, but yeah, the page count is actually similar. Although I think it's actually no ads. I think it's like full...
yeah, I think they're no ads because they're prestige. So it is still longer than an average book, but not as long as Harley.
But it's that big
Weston
style. Like Killer Smile is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so real quick with Cowgirl, the last time she was seen was the lead up to Blackest Night, where she got possessed by a Star Sapphire, and Carol took it from her.
So possessed by a Star Sapphire.
Yeah. So they weren't a core yet. It was all the lead up to that.
Oh my god, it was that long ago.
Yeah. That's how long ago it's been since she's been around.
Jeez.
Yeah, god damn it. He's doing stuff that
And I'll give John shit for that one because like he still had plenty of time in his run to actually. It was just weird because she just disappeared.
Yeah,
but whatever.
There is no excuse.
Hawkman 23. So that's rocking on.
Can we just? This is it seems to be like a flashback issue for the most part. It's going to be a story from like the whatever year it was, like 17th century.
That black and white variant is quite nice.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah. And the other one's a Janin cover as well, so it's two great covers on that book.
Oh, it does look quite nice, but that black and white one really sticks out to me. That's by Gerardo Zaffino. So never heard of him, but I like it. I like it a lot.
Can we just talk about Hawkman as a plague doctor?
Yeah, well, yes. I also want to the whole plague doctor aesthetic. There was a well-known in our group's book that had a character with the same aesthetics.
Wasn't there?
Yep, and I'm just laughing now
because this is doing it better.
Yes, well, not hard.
No, it's not. It's a low bar, but yeah. I had forgotten about that.
Oh yeah.
So there you go. That's Hawkman. We got He-Man, the Masters Universe number 6. Don't really need to say much about that. Joker, Harley, Criminal Sanity number 4. So obviously it's on his bi-monthly schedule now.
The only interesting thing to say about this is Jason Barrows is continuing as the other artist.
Yeah. So that's cool. I'm just going to take a moment to look at these covers because these covers tend to be quite nice. That one with the marionette with the Joker's face behind it is pretty nifty. I like it a lot.
I like the other one as well. Not as much, but I like it.
It's not bad.
The other one is straight from a Fincher movie. Right?
Which is very appropriate for this book.
Yes.
Exactly. We got Justice League 44 and 45 still double shipping.
Yeah. Look who's on art on 44.
I know.
Oh, Zarmanico. Oh, man.
Zarmanico, covered by Manipul.
And Eddie Barrows on the next one as well.
Eddie Barrows isn't bad, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Eddie Barrows is pretty good, but it's going to feel like a step down after Zarmanico.
With my comic collection, I'm always looking at books that I could drop and just pick up digitally, right?
Yeah.
I thought I could do that with Justice League once Snyder's done, but clearly not because they're giving me Zarmanico.
Yeah,
and
also,
I need that in my collection.
Yeah, 45's got a variant by Dan Mora, who I quite like, and I do think that looks really good. Actually, I love that cover a lot.
For anyone else who's a fan of Dan Mora, killing it on Once and Future right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So, no, I really like that cover. Justice League Dark 22, written by Ram V. Is that again, or is that...
Yeah, I think he's the ongoing writer now.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, cool.
Definitely getting Snyder Swamp Thing vibes off that cover because of Paquette and Abby and whatnot. But, yeah. Also, Animal Man's showing up there, too. So that should be interesting.
I'm really hoping I like... Because I skipped the Ram V annual. I didn't have time that week. And I thought, it's just a Ram V annual. I can skip it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I might have to go back and read it now that he's becoming the ongoing writer. I'm hoping that it maintains a high standard because obviously Just League has been one of my favorite books. So I'm hoping I don't have to drop it.
He judging if it's going to be based off of an annual, it's going to lean heavily into the superhero more than the dark. But it still goes pretty dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely feels more of a superhero book.
A little less exciting, but hopefully it's still good.
Yeah, I'm there for it.
So Justice League Odyssey number 20, still not final issue. So
yeah, and the interesting thing about this is there's some speculation that this is tying into the 5G timeline stuff because they're dealing with Lord of Time and it says risk unraveling the entire history of the DC universe. So this book may end up being somewhat important. I mean. That's classic Abnett, though, isn't it? Like, write something that seems inconsequul and then becomes, that was important.
Dare I go back and catch up just to read some Jess?
Because I feel the same about Starfire, and I can't.
I'm not doing it.
I don't know.
Upset me.
I wonder if once it got away from what the opening story was, if it got better. Because it might have done.
Pete, don't forget that the cliffhanger killed Jessica Cruz, but she wasn't actually dead because Green Lantern copied her.
Okay, fine, but like she's back by this point though. Maybe I could just jump in at the start of an arc or something. I don't know. Anyway,
sure.
Look, that probably won't happen. I'm just saying that there's mild musings of it. Legion of Superheroes number 6, Bendis and Sook.
Is Sook the regular artist for all of it, or has he been off and on?
He's a co-artist on this issue. That's this week. So I mean.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So he's been there. Variant's pretty nice on that one as well, actually.
Yeah, Triplicate Girl, Wildfire.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I mean, even the
Blizzard.
regular cover is quite nice with is that new Dr. Fate there?
It is. So that's what this one's about, is the legacy in the 30th century or 31st century.
Hey, who's this striped wolf looking fellow?
That must be Monster Boy.
Oh.
It says, I'll just read it. Meet the latest crop of Legionnaires: Gold Lantern, Monster Boy, Dr. Fate.
Okay.
Each a new face in the DC universe, each with dark secrets, and each with a reason to be part of the Legion's goal to bring the values of the Age of Heroes to the 31st century. And one of them has a surprising connection to John Kent, aka Superboy. All of this and the tensions between the United Planets and the Legion have gone public. The future of the DC universe continues to unfold. So, yeah.
So is
Monster
one of them
Boy?
a Superman descendant?
I don't know if that, but there's some hints of stuff that John should know about in this week's issue. So we'll get to that when we get to it.
I'm excited about Monster Boy. Monster Boy's hype.
Yeah.
And Gold Lantern makes me laugh because it reminds me of Power Rangers, where they ran out of colors and said, "We'll do a Gold Ranger."
and if in doubt, Dr. Fate's always knocking around. Just throw a new one of those in.
Yeah.
The Gold Ranger, whose primary color is black.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
That's true. Also, just worth mentioning, as much as I'm excited about Monster Boy, I don't know if new characters is what Legion needs. There's plenty of them. But Lois Lane number 10, obviously of 12 coming out.
Gorgeous Tula Lote cover.
Yeah. That Lote cover's really nice.
Lote cover, I'm gonna have to get. I need that. I hope she comes back to a con on this side, because I need this as a print. I needs it.
Tula Lote is the person who organized and runs and just founded my local con. Well, so she's there every year.
Well, if you go, experience. Connor, and you see this, I'll wire you some money.
I'll sort it out for you. I couldn't go last year because work wouldn't let me have the weekend off. So
gotcha.
Hopefully
just
this year
happen
I'll
if
get
you
there
go.
again.
I did tell her she draws one of my favorite Poison Ivies, because that issue of All-Star Batman, and she took that as a genuine compliment. Like,
oh, she's really nice.
Why wouldn't she take that as a compliment?
No, because you hear that. I'm sure they hear that as a lot, but I don't think anyone had told her that, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was such an oddly specific, and it was real cool, and it made me like the fact that she talked about that. That's how you win me over, is just a great con experience.
Yeah, I can't wait till he meets Rocka, and all he wants to talk about is issue 8 of Wonder Woman.
Hey, I told him about that. And he sounded genuinely like, oh hey, because I was like, hey, that's the benchmark at which all is measured against, and he sounded like he took that pretty genuinely.
I mean, there'd be that, and me, going nuts about Lazarus and Checkmate and all this other stuff. So
of course,
it wouldn't just be but that would be the entry level.
Yeah, obviously I spoke other stuff as well, but I was like, while I was there, I was like, I'm going to mention this.
Yes.
Did you mention it was Matt's and not yours?
Yeah, no, I did. Because we were talking about this podcast in general, and we were talking about all his books that create your own that he didn't have release dates for yet because they were working on getting the whole arc done, so they didn't have all these delays. And I mentioned on the show that is the bar which all is measured against.
Excellent. Scooby-Doo, where are you? Number 104. Right, over 100 issues for Scooby-Doo.
I like how you skipped past the Last God source book at the start, and yet Scooby-Doo gets mentioned.
Scooby-Doo is a vital part of my childhood, and your stupid Last God thing does not deserve to be mentioned. End of discussion. Mad Magazine 13 as well to do that. That's the thing. And then
Screw you.
Metal Man number 7 of 12. Interesting new set of characters on the cover of this one.
The metal animals.
Yeah, we got metal wolves and bears and gorillas and
there's a
all
bear
sorts.
And a gorilla, and it's like they were like, "Hey, give us some animals." I'm like, "All right."
Yeah, it's like a gorilla, a cobra, a pit bull, a wolf. Matt's there.
Yeah, Matt's in there. Nightwing 71. This Rick Grayson nightmare will come to an end at some point.
Maybe in issue 71, because read the Nightwing Annual issue 3, which is the next thing, is like 2 weeks later. Read the description for that.
Okay. Dick Grayson has been many things in his life: Robin, Agent of Spiral, even Batman. But will he have the choice when the Condors try to recruit him for their cause, and will they take no for an answer? A thrilling high-octane adventure awaits the skies of Gotham City. So we're just going on the fact that they call him Dick Grayson. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, I thought it'd be
but
more than
I mean,
that.
that's the closest. That's the first time they've called him Dick Grayson in months. So,
what are the Condors?
Um,
people reading Nightwing, hit me up on that one. See if that's a thing, because I'm not familiar.
They're birds, Matt. They're birds.
Yes, I know what a condor is.
Yeah, I actually really like both the covers on 71. They're nice covers.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, not bad.
I like the Mike Perkins one in particular.
Not bad. I mean, hell. Do you know what? I'll tell you this right now. If 71 comes out and it is literally the story of how he becomes Dick Grayson again, tell me on Twitter, people, and I'll read it. I'll read 71 just on its own.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, just because it's when he comes back, I'll do it.
We will celebrate. We will throw a goddamn pie.
Yeah, we'll have cake on the show. We'll have cake. We'll have. I mean, Cora drinks booze anyway, but
I can have a celebratory whiskey. I'll have a nicer one. I'll break out the nice stuff for it.
So this one's actually interesting because this was supposed to be bi-monthly, but of course issue 2 of The Question, The Deaths of Vic Sage is this week. So the fact that issue 3's only just been solicited for April is like, whoa, that's a long time away.
Yeah, it got delayed a month at some point, obviously.
So
not the end of the world.
No. I hope I remember.
I think this is why Didier was saying just last week that we're gonna make sure we've got all the issues kind of ready to go before we start soliciting things. So more on something on that at the end of these solicits.
So with the hoping to remember, I think now I got the formula of this, and I think we're in good hands here. Like if there's a big delay,
it's Lemire, so I mean, I trust.
The kind of series of one shots. You know what I mean?
Kind of.
That's the central theme.
Yeah.
So
I think there's going to be a way to tie them together by the end, but yeah.
And that's what you need to hope you remember.
Yes.
Yep.
So I got Red Hood Outlaw 45. I guess actually Scott Liddell's been on this since the start of Rebirth, so I guess he's the third. So
he's been on this since the start of the new goddamn.
True,
52.
that's true. But
I mean, say what you want about Liddell in this book, and you can say many terrible things, and I often do. But that is actually a significant amount of time on one book.
It is, and that's the thing where I give him credit, and he is consistent.
I'm fairly certain he's done enough issues. He's done enough issues at this point that he could have 2 1,500-page omnibuses of like Scott Liddell's Red Hood.
He probably could. Yeah,
that's how long he's been going.
He has been on this nearly an entire decade.
If he makes it to 2021, it'll be a decade. If he makes
no, because he stopped writing it in Tynan. Because I read those. I came back.
Okay.
Tynan did it for a little bit.
There was a short gap. Okay, there's a short gap, but
there was a short gap, but still, point still stands.
Yeah,
he's been there for a very long time.
You got Ruby number 7, Shazam issue 12. Jeff Johns is back because there was an issue without Johns. It turns out there was a guest writer, so Johns is back.
It's not the final issue,
and it's not
Yeah.
I only mention that because 12 feels like a place where they could have decided to call it.
Maybe Johns has got more plans. Maybe they're happy to let him do it. So that's what it is. I like the variant cover on this one. He's a bit bulky looking, admittedly, but like I like the colors. And
I think his pecs are a bit huge, but it's a nice enough cover.
It's chest day. What do you want, man?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong though. I mean, it's not compared to some of the other ones we've brought up so far, but still. Suicide Squad number 5, Tom Taylor's book continues. Neat stuff.
That has a nice variant.
Oh yeah, Jesus Christ, that's Uncanny Valley levels of like realistic.
Jeremy Roberts. That's closer to Uncanny Valley than any of the Martina stuff gets.
Yeah, that's Deadshot and
one of the Mirror guys.
Yeah, one of the Mirror guys.
the one that
survived.
Yeah. Supergirl 41 is next, still by Jodie Houser, and I'm happy to say that because I was a little bit worried that she was only going to be here for the tie-in infected stuff. It's nice to see that this issue is post-infection, but it still has Jodie Houser, so I'm pleased by that.
And it's got a Carmine Di Giamenico cover, which looks, I like the way that it's proportioned out.
I think his art actually lends itself to the vivid colors that Supergirl tends to have. It really goes well with the bright colors. And then there's a really anime-looking variant, which
it's a Derek Chew, which often Derek Chew is seen as an Art Germ knockoff. So I appreciate that this leans in a slightly different direction.
Yeah,
because this is
definitely
Art Germ
more manga.
Yeah, keep your animes away from me. Thank you very much.
I think it's a really nice cover, personally.
Keep your animes away from me. Superman 22. Next, Bendis with Reese and Prado on art.
At least you got some better art than on action.
That's very true. That's very true.
That cover, yeah. I think it's a variant Hitch cover.
With in the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand what he's doing, but it looks
it
like
doesn't look like
comedy.
a smile. It looks more like a grimace, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It looks to me like a smile, and like he's trying to keep it together to not scare the kid as her house is going up.
Yeah, like
right?
Keep smiling, just keep going.
It's very Incredibles to me, but like I shouldn't be laughing because it's a tragedy. But I can't.
This is the thing. I don't know if that's intentional or if it's just he didn't quite get the face it right. If it's intentional, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
But yeah.
Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen number 10 next. So again, much like Lois, just to go exactly as we expect. It's got 2 issues left after this.
But we're getting arm fall off boy, but not just that. It's gonna be the fall off family.
I'm so in for this.
Yeah.
It's sad to think that we're kind of nearing the end of those books, right? I mean, I know obviously we've got months left. These are a few issues ahead, but the fact that we're talking about issue 10, it's only 12. This is going to be done by June.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started in July last year, so yeah, June's been the last issue will be.
That cover is fantastic because the table they're sitting around is the Monday murder meeting. Oh man.
I love that like Deathstrokes and like Shiva are at this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got Teen Titans 41, still chucking along.
I did something on this. Is there's something here. One of the Teen Titans won't be making it back, and there's something in one of the other things to do with Damian that about his relationship with Batman. That's
the annual.
Yeah, he's going a bit rogue.
Yeah, Teen Titans Annual number 2 is next. I love how every time I think there's because usually there's like 2/3 of these that I think I can just sort of skim past quickly, and almost every single one of you will interrupt me and say, "Oh, I want to talk about this one thing." Inflating the length of Solicits by about double. I just want to point that out.
Well, we're being thorough. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it properly.
I'm fine doing it proper. I love getting more information. All I'm saying is don't whine at me beforehand that Solicits are too long.
I never whine about Solicits. I whine about sales figures.
That was
I always whine about everything. That's my job.
So yeah, Teen Titans Annual number 2. Terrifics 27, still not final issue.
Nope.
It still exists.
It still exists, yeah.
It's good though.
Interesting.
I'm hearing people like it. I might go back if I have time.
Yeah,
Wait, there's Blue Beetle on the front of this.
Blue Beetle and Man Bat are on the front of this bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm intrigued. It's a really nice cover, actually. Is that Dan Mora again? I think that's the Dan Mora cover we're seeing. It looks like Dan Mora.
It does look like a Dan Mora.
Yeah. I remember I dropped this not because it was particularly bad, but because the arc that it was on was just kind of like tedious month to month. It may actually be one that's worth catching up on.
Personally, I wasn't a fan of Jin Lin Yang's annual when he did Terrific, so I didn't bother. I do really like this cover, that that retro wave, synth wave.
Honestly,
is that 2 atoms there that we've got?
Yeah, seeing like they do stuff away from because the whole plot when we dropped it, Matt, was that whole computer went amok and had them in a virtual world. Like that was really kind of dragging on. But all this stuff post that does look quite interesting.
So I will say is quite funny. It was just this week that they announced, these people are joining the Fantastic Four, and given that this is the Fantastic Four knockoff book, and then look at all these new people on the team.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. And then we got Wonder Woman Dead Earth issue 3. That's 3 of 4. So
that's bi-monthly, so I don't think that's off schedule. I think that's still as expected.
Yeah, that's still when it's supposed to be. That's coming out on the week 5, which is cool. And then we got Wonder Woman 755 and 756, of course. So that's trucking along. And then Young Justice 15, Bendis with John Timms on the art. That's another Superboy cover for you there, Matt.
Yep. A good one. It's also David F. Walker's coming on as a co-writer on this one.
Yeah. I wonder if there's going to be some...
trading off
he did Naomi, right?
Yeah, he did Naomi, so he co-wrote Naomi, so I'm wondering if there's going to be some Naomi stuff in this issue, maybe, and that's why. Well,
it just seems Young Justice versus Star Labs. What happens when a universe reboots right under you? Connor's about to find out. So,
are they changing his past again?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm starting to think though with Bendis and the 5G, like what if this is the seeds of 5G.
It might be
are happening
No,
undercurrent of his books with Star Labs.
I could see it not being the seeds. I mean, it might be. Like, I'm not saying that's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
That could very well could be. But at the very least, I think any changes that are happening to his past right now in this book are probably in line with what they're prepping for 5G. In the same way that Wonder Woman's setting something up, we're getting something with Joe.
Right.
All these things happening.
I think all these things. I don't think it's exclusive to Bendis. We're talking about this here.
Yeah.
We talk about the Wonder Woman next week. We got that. What was it earlier? We talked about Just League Odyssey.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things that are kind of heading in that direction.
I think right now for 5G, we're at that point where we didn't know it at the time, but before Rebirth, where Lois and Clark's book started, and we were hearing about Titans Hunt was about to start.
Yep.
Like, I think we're at that kind of stage.
Yeah.
Which
is an
5G.
exciting stage because you're looking for the clues.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking at all this stuff and with the stuff with Star Labs and how Red Cloud was created and the stuff that they've just been constantly messing up. They made Earth disappear into the Phantom Zone. So I'm starting to wonder if, like right here where it talks about what happens when the universe reboots right from under you, like is that what's going to cause the 5G shift? And because it's not just the metaverse, there's always something there.
Yeah, I would say probably not what causes it. I think it'll be a bigger deal. We'll know about it. It'll be like in a one shot or in something in an event or something. But I think this is a symptom of that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Far Sector number 6. After that, halfway through, that many we've had 2 issues so far and quite enjoyed it. There we have Basket Full of Heads number 7, final issue of our first, Hill House Comics book.
What a great last cover!
Yep.
Yep. Really, really pretty. All the covers for that have been fantastic, though.
They have, yeah.
To be fair, Daphne Byrne number 4 also has a really good cover, actually. If we're talking good covers,
it is. And obviously, that's the one we've enjoyed the least so far. But I mean, hopefully, we'll see if we're still with it by issue 4. Maybe we won't be. But
yeah, we'll
issue 1 wasn't bad.
Oh, should not have clicked on that. The Dollhouse Family one.
Dollhouse Family number 6 is next.
Yeah.
Very over the top cover. I think we're getting to the meat of who that woman in the cave is with this issue, by the looks of it.
Also, one of the shortest solicits I've ever seen, because this is the final issue.
Yes.
But just nobody leaves the dollhouse. All will be weighed. Only one can prevail.
Yep. And then we have the Lolo Woods issue 5 after that. So a couple of them are finishing, a couple of them are close to finishing at this point. The one that's obviously furthest away is Plunge, only in issue 3, because that's not started yet. So,
so excited for that one, right?
Yeah. And that obviously has Eminem on art, and that's the Joe Hill writing again. So, Plunge is probably the most exciting one, just in the sense that it's, given that
in terms of just the established team.
My favourite so far has been Basket Full of Heads. So the fact that it's the same writers, that obviously makes it the most exciting one coming up. But
and the concept of it's very Pete.
Yeah. So that's really cool. We get into some of the Sandman universe stuff, and I'm going to mention these actually because there's a really interesting detail.
There is, isn't there?
With one of these.
I thought I was going to have to bring this up.
No, I saw this because I saw it as a separate news item, and I thought, oh, that is actually kind of interesting. So Books of Magic 19 is coming. I'm going to skip the one we're going to talk about. I'll just mention House of Whispers 20 is coming. John Constantine Hellblazer number 6. Lucifer 19, and that's it. Right. So, the one I skipped was The Dreaming number 20. And the reason why this is interesting is because this is listed as the final issue. Why is that interesting? It's interesting because the entire reason that G. Willow Wilson left Wonder Woman is because she was announced as the new writer on The Dreaming. And now it's cancelled out of nowhere. So obviously, maybe it's getting retitled or going back to number 1 or whatever after this. It's not a big deal. It's just a different title.
Yeah, I suspect so because she was announced to be taking over at issue 19. Yes. We got the solicits for 19 and it was still Cy Spurrier with Bill Quisively. No change. 20, which is this one here, is the same team that it always has been. And, the solicits, like the unbelievable finale of, their Sandman Universe epic is here. And so it feels like they actually just gave them 2 extra issues. And they're probably going to relaunch it at number 1. I will be surprised if there's not a relaunch after the announcement that we had.
It'd be really weird if they had made that announcement. She left Wonder Woman and then, oh wait, no, the book's not happening.
Like delaying it by 2 months to let them finish off this story with a bit more. Honestly, probably a good thing. Maybe they announced it too early and, there's some things that went a bit wrong. But overall, a good move.
I expect it'll have a different title. I'm expecting maybe The Dreaming and something or, whatever.
Maybe a subtitle or something. Yeah, don't get me wrong, but I think the book's still going to happen. I think Wilson is still doing that book. I'll be shocked if that's not the case. I really will.
Yeah. So that's basically the Solicits outside, of course, the collected stuff.
Just before we get onto those, can I talk about something that's interesting that's missing?
Sure.
And it is interesting because there was a tweet from Jason Furbuck earlier in the week how we were going to get some news about the 3 Jokers this week. And we thought, okay, Solicits are coming. Maybe it's finally going to happen. And it's notably absent, right?
Yeah.
It's not in here. And I'm wondering, was there a last-minute change? Because he's posted more art teasing that since and gone, hey, this thing's coming. I do wonder if, following Didio's announcement last week, they've changed the date. I think he actually said, Furbuck on Twitter said they had a date in mind, but things have changed. So I wonder if it was a really last-minute change based on Didio's comments last week about Black Label stuff.
They're waiting for him to finish
until everything's done.
Yeah, they're waiting for him to finish the last issue, and it's maybe close because he's been working on it for a long time.
Yeah, he's probably on the 3rd issue, and it will probably, if they had solicited to start in April, would be completely fine. But Didio has made this blanket statement of no, we are being safe now, and not soliciting until we know, which I think we all agreed was not a bad choice. So I think this here is probably a combination of that, with it just kind of last minute change because of that statement, and it'll probably come in June Solicits now.
Yeah.
Given that how long it seems to take to work on them.
June Solicits?
Yeah, I'm thinking it'll take him longer.
Okay. Well, you're assuming you just started issue 3 then?
Yeah.
Okay. So, collected editions wise, a couple of interesting things because they've changed things recently. Because there's a Adventures of Superman by George Perez hardcover coming out, which is collecting stuff from various places. It actually has the first 6 issues of the New 52 series because he did that. If you remember right.
Oh, this is really random, isn't it? This is just whatever he happened to draw in the past 3 decades.
More interesting for me is they've got a Batman Cape Crusader Volume 4, which is great because this is basically one book away from linking up the start of post-crisis Batman all the way to Nightfall. Like, that's how close we are to filling that gap in.
I think with it only being one volume, they'll bite the bullet and go for it.
Detective Comics, which is a similar series of books called Dark Knight Detective, is a little bit behind. Volume 3 still to come out, and Volume 3 only takes us up to maybe like 60 issues before Nightfall, Detective Comics wise, so there's probably going to be another 3 of those if they do them. Hopefully they do. But just happy to see that. Flash by Wade Book 7 is nice to see as well, so that's almost done. It's got another maybe 1 left.
Something I thought was interesting is Doomsday Clock Part 2 is solicited here. The hardcovers this is, and if you buy it from a comic shop, because obviously these are the comic store solicits, it comes with a free slipcase to fit in the first volume as well, which again will be exclusive to comic shops, not Amazon or bookstores, which is, I think that's a really smart thing to do as an incentive to buy at your comic store.
Yeah,
I might have to do this.
It also makes you not feel like a chump for buying the first volume when...
Yeah.
I mean, I still argue that the wise choice is to wait for the deluxe version that'll have all 12 in one bigger cut book.
Ideally, the absolute, because you want Frank's art as gorgeous as it can look.
Yeah, but also the second cover with the... Is that Saturn Girl? And
is it the one with Manhattan in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is nice.
Yeah,
so that's what it is. Because they were longer issues, though, both volumes, even though they're only 6 issues each, are actually, they're a bit beefier. They're about 230 or 40 pages each.
232 pages it's solicited at.
Yeah, which is a very reasonable hardcover size. More than reasonable.
Yeah. Because this is one of the things, because one of the things we didn't really talk about last week or the week before, whatever it was, we were talking about Didio's comments about collected books, is that they want to get away from 6 issue and small trades. Which maybe leads you to think that maybe they will go to a yearly format where they've just got 12 issue books instead. But...
Yeah, I mean, they didn't specifically say small trades. They just said they don't want 6 to be locked in as, okay, that's the story and done. So maybe that mean we'll do 8 or 9s, or maybe it means we might have some more 4 or 5s.
Yeah.
Just be a bit more flexible.
I don't think they'll go smaller. I feel like part of the problem with going smaller is that there's more volumes, and I think them talking about numbers going too high, even if they're taking away the numbers away, having more issues per book means there's less books.
That's true. Yeah,
and
that
means
what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see chunkier books. I think even Batman, like the last couple of volumes, City of Bane's one big trade, I think.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, here, Martian Manhunter, Identity is apparently its subtitle, the Orlando and Rosmo book.
Well, it went to 12.
That's getting a full 12-issue trade.
So
straight to paperback, admittedly, no hardcover, but still interesting.
Yeah, so I feel we'll maybe see more of that sort of experimentation. It's interesting, looking at what they might do with books that are already running. Because I know one of the things that has pissed off people is that Batman's trades are switching to hardcovers for the last 2 volumes.
Were they not hardcovers before?
No, they all just went straight to trade. There's no hardcovers unless you count the deluxe.
I'm surprised at that. Actually, I genuinely didn't know, because if I'm buying trades, I tend to go for deluxes. But traditionally, DC's model was higher selling books went to hardcover first and then to paperback.
No, that all changed. That all changed with Rebirth. Everything went straight to trade. The first thing that's changed with is whatever came first, either Bendis' Superman or Snyder's Justice League. Whatever one of those was first was the first time it did a hardcover first. But I think
Snyder's Justice League was first, but I could be wrong.
Everything before that was trades, and they were all matching sort of designs and everything else. They're completely throwing all that out the window. And I get that they want to do that. But wait until the next, Tynan's run. Start with Tynan's run.
Yeah, it's frustrating, because I do think the model of hardcover first, then the paperback is a better model, because people who want the hardcovers can get that, and then you tend to know if it comes straight to trade, you're not going to have to wait for the hardcovers because it's not coming, right? So you can just leap in with the paperbacks, because some people prefer one or the other. And then if you want the paperbacks, sure, it sucks that you have to wait, but it will come almost all of the time.
Yeah. Honestly, I think they should do away with standard size hardcovers. I don't see the point in them, really. I feel like if you care enough to want the hardcover, you want the better binding, you want the deluxe oversized art.
I still think the standard hardcovers are nicer than the standard trades by a significant margin, and are worth the extra money for me.
They're nicer, but if the deluxes are an option, and for a lot of these
things,
but
the deluxe doesn't get every book. So if it's not getting a deluxe, I'd rather have the standard hardcover.
But a lot of these books don't have hardcovers, though. Is it like it's not an option for all of them?
No. That's what I'm saying. The ones that are getting, because that's what I mean. You tend to know if it goes straight to trade, great, you can buy trade. They often don't get a deluxe anyway, because if they're going straight to trade, they're generally the lower seller ones. If they go to a hardcover first, then they might get a deluxe later. They might, but I still would rather buy the hardcover than the paperback on a personal level.
Now, I always used to hate it when I was buying trades before I switched to reading singles. I always used to hate how, because the hardcovers used to always go out of print really quickly, and the trades, the soft covers would stay in print for a long time. But you'd reach this point where if you were reading through a series, you'd get to a point where all of a sudden the next 1 or 2 volumes isn't out in soft cover yet, but the hardcovers are there because the hardcovers come out first. So you had this choice to make of either switching formats, which is extremely annoying, or waiting an absurd long time to get the books.
It's usually an exact a year between publishing.
Yeah, which is too long.
This is I personally, I don't think it is. This is something that I've been used to for most of my life, because this is something that they've stolen from the book market, not the comic market at all, where books, the better sellers come out in hardcover first, and then paperbacks. The most annoying scenario in this case is actually a new series comes out. They'll do the first one in paperback because they don't know how it's going to sell. It's a new author, and then it's a hit, and then the second one gets the hardcover, and then you have to wait 6 months or a year for the paperback after that, and you've already bought the first one paperback because it was only available in paperback. That's frustrating.
Nah, it should come out at the same time. Should do a paperback and hardcover on the same day. Give people the choice, and there's no annoying waiting. And I think the difference between comics and books, though, is that comics, like you're reading through a run of a writer, you're getting every trade as they come out, and you have that annoying choice of switching or not, or waiting for the absurd long time. Books are a little bit different in that you get one book, and even if it's a series of books, you get one book every.
I get what you're saying. I think for me, once you've committed to the paperbacks, you're already behind. You're not going to catch up and read them in singles anyway, so you might as well just wait for the next paper. The release schedule is still the same in the sense of paperback to paperback.
No, I disagree with this. I never did that. I switched to the hardcovers and hated that I did that because I wanted to read them. I wanted to be more caught up, and I was livid about it. I suppose the difference here is it depends on if you're buying them as they come out or if you're catching up later. If you're buying the trades as they come out,
it's the exact same increment between each one, paperback to paperback, as it would be the whole time. If you binge through 6 paperback trades and you get caught up and then go, shit, the next one's only available in hardcover, I have to wait, then yeah, you fall into that situation.
But I feel like that's more applicable for more people, though, right?
It might be, yeah.
I think it is. I feel like, you it's because you read through a series and then you go, okay, I want to read a new series, so I'll read, I don't know, Batman starting from this writer, and then you catch up and you get caught up and you're like, oh shit, I want to keep reading.
I would say the problem is you have the same thing with the hardcovers where you get caught up and then you could jump to the single issues and you're a year ahead on those if you wanted to. There's an option there. There is more material there in a different format.
There is an option.
You want to jump to it.
There is an option,
and
but it's
make that decision in the end.
But the singles are so different versus, because I feel like, but for a long time, I switched to singles because I was presented this opportunity to do so because there was this clean slate happening. But like, there was never a consideration for me at the time. And it may have happened eventually if I'd kept reading and I'd got the itch to like be caught up in singles. But it was always just, I'm a trade reader. I read the collections. That's always what I read for whatever long it was. I never considered switching to singles, but it did annoy me when I was restricted by formats and format changes and all sorts. And
it's kind of the same thing though. Like when you get to the end of the hardcovers, you'd be one volume ahead, say, of the paperbacks, but you still have to wait the same amount of time for the next hardcover.
You see, it's similar, but it's not the same, because if you're because it isn't, because by reading the collections you've accepted that you don't keep up with the single issues. But with DC's schedule, because it takes a few months for the hardcover to come out and then it's another year for the paperback, like it's so like, well, I guess I'm waiting a whole extra year to read that story. And it sucks, and it's one of the reasons why I would never go back to just waiting, reading everything in trade. Because
I couldn't do it either personally, but yeah, I get it.
I can't do it. Matt, no.
We've bored the tits off Matt, haven't we?
Yeah, no, I'm checking hockey news. Alexander Ovechkin got back-to-back hat tricks this week. He just got another one. So,
I get it. I'll be honest. I was only so chatty then because the snooker's on the interval.
So I just trying to get through, man.
Bloody hell.
Looks good.
Yes.
Not like Reed.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Wonder Woman various useless trades and collections coming out because the movie's out not too long after.
There's the Max Lord one.
Yeah,
there's a Steve Trevor one, which is a collection of random issues that are important to Steve Trevor.
Great cover though. I love that cover on the Trevor one.
Yeah.
That is quite nice actually. I'll give you that.
Yeah, although the most interesting one though is that actually it's another one of those thick trade series where they're collecting like a chunk of time. Looks like it's from the early 90s, starting with William Mesner Loeb's run. So it's a book one of that, and it's a good 400 pages. So hopefully that's one that continues. Wonder Woman: The Last True Hero, book 1.
I must have scrolled past it somewhere. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, but so that's a good 400 pages. It contains what we got here: 63, 64, and then 66 to 75, and then annual number 3 plus a special number 1. So yeah, it's not a big run that they're going to start collecting and hopefully actually finish. So, hey ho, good to know. Especially since Batman and Superman have been heavily collected at that time, or at least Batman is. Superman's a bit more spotty.
And it has a great classic Brian Bolland cover.
Yes. So neat. But there you go. That's Solicits.
We made it. Sorry, Matt.
Solicits are done. For one more month. Obviously next month we'll be back with Maze, and that should be where we start really getting teases of events for the summer and stuff like that. Now admittedly they're going to be so big that they'll probably reveal it as news on their own weeks before the Solicits even happen, but we should be getting to the real juicy stuff for the year very, very soon. So alright then, 90 minutes out of the show, good time to start talking about this week's comic books. Let's talk about The Flash, issue 86. Joshua Williamson writing with Rafa Sandoval on the art, and Flash and Captain Cold fight a bit. And
I mean, we can do this review in 2 sentences. Sentence 1, it's shit. Sentence 2, thank God the arc's over.
I don't
disagree.
I think
such a bastardization of Captain Cold, and if it was seated better, yeah, fine. But I just feel everything felt so rushed.
Mm-hmm.
You're the villain, really messed things up. And I don't like Cold being at odds with the Rogues, right? Like,
yeah, it's weird. And then
Yeah.
Barry trying to kill him at the end. Like, what?
Okay, I mean, my biggest problem with this book is this thing at the end where Barry gets the bloodlust. It just kind of comes
Yep.
out of nowhere.
Oh, are we bloodlusting?
Bloodlust, yes. You get
well, here's the thing too. Which didn't he have to channel a negative Flash? Didn't we do that arc for a little bit with Williamson?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why not bring that back? Like,
No, now that
I don't-
he's now supercharged with the Speed Force, and that's why
because
he's
we
getting
can't
violent.
send him to Arkham for that.
yeah, I'm almost out on this.
On-
I
on
say it
that-
every time.
Why are we sending him to Arkham and not,
Iron.
Iron Heights with the
Yeah.
cell?
Did it say
dampeners
Arkham?
they have? Yeah, it says next Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
It's. I
Um,
mean, he doesn't say it. It's the next time.
okay,
thing.
right. I never read that. The next time thing.
Yep.
I
He
assumed.
stopped as soon as he got it. He was like, right, I'm done.
Yeah, I assumed it meant Iron Heights, maybe it did mean that in the moment. Maybe it's, maybe it's like Iron Heights is all destroyed, so everyone's getting sent off to Arkham or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is I thought that this read easy enough. Like it was a quick enough kind of, boom, 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 got through the story fine. I didn't really
like what I read though.
Yeah, I didn't really care about anything that was going on. Cole with the giant freeze, sort of like, like the ice around his arms, and then of course he's like topless, and he's like, today I beat you, Flash, finally I kill you, Flash. I don't necessarily mind the idea of Cold being against the Rogues, though. I actually think there's a lot of potential in a story where they, for whatever reason, split away from him. There's potential in that story.
I think
that's fine, but the way that it happens here, I think
it's got to be more than Cold.
No,
just
I agree,
going
but that's
face.
not what was said. What was said is you don't like. I don't know who said it. One of you said it.
I said that because I don't like how it's used here. I don't like
Yeah.
how all of a sudden now, oh no, well he's gone too far.
I think what bothers me more is this would have made far more sense if it was when Cold was going straight.
Yep.
And joining the Justice League with Lex, and the rest of the Rogues were like, "Nah, we're not having this. We're carrying on robbing shit."
Yeah.
That would have made way more sense there. Whereas here, he's going too far, taking over, killing people. I don't buy it.
Yeah, it's there almost just to put a wedge for. Well, we need him against the Rogues. Well, what are we doing? Well, we turn him into King Cold. Also, so is Commander Cold legit dead? Because
probably not.
I'm feeling like this is an Alfred thing now. Like we're gonna get to an issue, and when we're gonna have to mourn Commander Cold. Where
the way King Cold said here is that the way I killed Commander Cold, it means probably not, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't even hate the idea of it, like, because I agree that it makes more sense that he's going too good, and that's why they all sort of like fall away from him. But I actually don't even hate the idea of like Cold goes too far, because that could be how you sell that he's went too far, that even the Rogues are like, wait a minute. The problem here is that it's so rushed. It doesn't necessarily feel like he's done anything. I mean, I don't want to say he's not done anything that bad. He has kind of encaptured the entire city, but
we didn't see much of that.
Which I like that, again, if he had turned this into a purge kind of place where everyone kind of does what he wants, what they want, but no, he made himself king. And he stole Central City, which that's great for the Rogues, right?
There's no weight to it, because if there was a lot of bad things he had to do to achieve this, if we saw him doing that and saw what it took to get here, then eventually we see the other characters back away. Even Heatwave's like, you know what? No, Len, bit much.
You're my best guy, but I can't. And even his sister. And I get what those beats are supposed to be. They're just not executed well at all.
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
To a lot of eye rolling.
I don't have a problem conceptually with the beats themselves. No. It's just the lack of the actual weight in the story itself, which has kind of been our problem, really, from a lot of the Flash recently.
Yeah. And I feel with a lot of they did to fix the Flash after a lot of the things that happened in New 52, where you gave the Rogue superpowers. I feel like this all, and I know you guys hate the designs, but like this is the first time with Weather Wizard where he's talking like he's actually in contact with nature. Like I'm like, this is weird this doesn't feel right at all, and it's not like it's been seeded.
The other problem right now,
regressed.
The other problem with the designs in this right now is that it keeps taking me like an extra panel just to remember who's who, because at one point, at one point it like cut over to like Mirror Master, and I'm like, who's this asshole? And I'm like, oh, it's Mirror Master.
He's covered covered like a disco ball.
Yeah, but that doesn't look like Mirror Master. Mirror Master, I'm used to the green and yellow, orange and green. Yeah, the orange and green kind of thing. Like like it doesn't look anything like Mirror Master, and it's kind of annoying. No. Oh dear.
Yeah.
It's been a rough time. It's limping towards the finish, and hopefully that's.
And then we get to the stuff with
unenthused for any more.
Then you hear the stuff with Paradox coming, and I don't care. That normally would have gotten me through, you know.
Yeah, like if this was a year ago and we were talking about that Flash Age, I think it was called, is the name of the arc coming up. Like, oh yeah, that sounds interesting. I'm down for that. Coming off of this and the last couple of arcs, I just don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
Last 2 arcs have been rough. There's no doubt about that. Because obviously it wasn't great before then, but I think year 1 onwards has been the real sort of low point. Because while there was maybe some issues before that, I don't think it was like I was still generally kind of enjoying it.
It wasn't an endemic problem of the entire book. It was okay. There was things here or there that I didn't like, but overall I still enjoyed it. Whereas these last 2 arcs, there is very little I've enjoyed.
You could easily try to pin this on Year of the Villain, but then you remember year 1.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, these are problems that were already here.
Yeah. Yeah, I really did not like year 1.
Oh, so bad.
And I thought, yeah, great, yeah, well, do a version of the origin, you know, do an update.
I also feel like it is editorial though a little bit with, you know, year 1 establishing Turtle as a villain because of the Still Force that's going to be in play.
See, I don't know. I feel like you could have just done a Turtle story and it'd been fine.
No, I know, but then Williamson's going, oh no, I can do a year 1 out of this. Right, and then here too, he's like, "Well, I have to tie it into Year of the Villain. You know what I'll do? King Cold. That's cool." And it's like,
is it?
Hey, bud, maybe you need to run this by people. Like, where's your friends that you're throwing these off of? You know, like.
Yeah, you can tell John stopped giving it a glance over.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been rough. It's been rough. I
also want to know what his plans for Bart were, because remember that story came out that he said that he had pitched to have Bart show back up, and then he said that he wrote all this because he eventually wants to write Bart, so he got to bring him back, and it's like, well, the only time we've seen Bart is in Young Justice, which I understand, you know, continuity wise.
Maybe it's in the Flash Age stuff. I don't know.
Maybe, but why did we go through all of this, like the Forces stuff, and then year 1, and then this, and to get to Flash Age? I don't see where Barry's any, you know what I mean? His trials and tribulations.
Yeah. I do not have answers to any of those questions, because as far as I'm concerned, there are no good answers to any of those questions. Why did we do any of this stuff?
Feels like filler.
It does, and I think that's a problem when, I mean, year 1 was that 6 or 12 issues? 7?
7-ish, yeah.
Yeah, and then this has been another 6 or 7.
Yep.
So this is, you know, it's only been 6 months in terms of this publishing, but it's a year's worth of regular issues when you look at it that way.
Yep.
And man, it feels like it's been wasted time.
I dropped Venditti for less.
Oh, way less.
I dropped Venditti for him bringing. So after we'd already had a really cool Reverse Flash moment with Wallace's dad and whatnot, he decided to bring Thawne back as Professor Zoom. It just wasn't tracking for me. I'm wondering if I go back now, if I get a little bit more enjoyment out of that, despite rage quitting it. I mean, the Brett Booth art didn't help.
No,
you know. At least the art here is that.
Mike.
Yeah, I will say, as someone who's also come around on Venditti, I don't think I would enjoy that Flash stuff anymore. I just don't think it was that good. I think Venditti is capable of a lot better.
I think what's weird about Williamson is that I feel like, obviously not when we were enjoying it more, but I feel like right now it's almost the polar opposite of the typical thing I have with Orlando, where Orlando, conceptually, I don't typically have that much of a problem with the stories that he's telling. It's just how he writes them that I don't like. I feel like Williamson, actually, his style of writing's still good. Like, I still think the dialogue flows. I still think it like has a good pacing to it. It's just the concepts of the story that I don't like. So they're very opposites right now, which is weird for me.
The way you talk about Orlando there, that's how I generally feel about Bendis. Is that I don't hate the ideas, I just don't like reading it.
Right.
Whereas I agree, Williamson is the complete opposite end of that spectrum, where the reading goes in quick enough. It's not terrible in that sense. It's not an incredibly long read. It's fine in that regard. It's just conceptually things that you just dislike.
Yeah. And that extends to just characters and their characterizations and everything in between. So, art is fine again. Rafa Sandoval is dependable.
Got a chunky Barry.
Yeah, a bit chunky, but I think the art's fine. I don't have really many problems with that. My problems from this all stem from the designs of things, but that's not Sandoval's fault.
No,
by any means.
Depends. Did he do the designs?
I think so.
I don't know. He got King Cold looking like a jacked dude with the shirt off.
I don't know who did the design, so maybe they're Sandoval's fault, but I'm not going to, definitively say he's responsible.
No.
I dislike his Barry, or I think more specifically, I dislike his Flash. His Flash looks chunky, and that's a problem on a Flash book.
It's supposed to be at least that Raphael Grandpa cover that I'm not a big fan of. That looks sleek. Sandoval's Flash doesn't look sleek.
And again, I don't think I'd mind Sandoval's Flash if it was just a variant cover. Be like, sure, it's a variant, whatever.
Yeah.
I like the rest of the book. I just don't like his Flash, which is a problem.
Yeah.
In a book called Flash.
Yeah. Worth mentioning, Irish pops back up in this issue because she's been missing for a little bit. The kids get her to help with the science or whatever is happening.
Sure.
It's whatever.
Yeah.
It's a Speed Force, bro.
Yeah, pretty much. What are you giving it, Matt?
There's a 4.
Connor?
I happen to agree with a 4.
I'll say 4.5.
There you go.
I'll give it the 0.5 for something.
So
we'll move on to Aquaman 56. Kel Higgins writing with Aaron Lopresti on art. This is a guest, fill-in team. It does loosely tie in to what's going on. It's a flashback issue that goes back to the start of Rebirth. It's right after the proposal of the Rebirth one-shot. And basically, thematically, it ties in because this is when the subject of possibly having kids one day first comes up in the relationship. And obviously, that's relevant to now because she's about to... the one final page at the end of this issue is teasing that soon she's giving birth. Like, that's going to be happening soon.
Aqua Baby, 2020.
Yeah. So, but it's actually, it's a couple of two things really, the main story. The main story is them discussing kids and whether or not it's responsible for them to bring them into the world, given how crazy their lives are, and do they have the time, and yada, yada, yada. And then the other half is that there's a trench attack on an oil rig, which they have to go in and rescue all the workers from. That part of it I actually really enjoyed, just because I like the trench, I think they're cool villains, and it's good
they
action.
Haven't been overused, so when they show up, it still feels like it has meaning. And here they were just properly like monsters, where the oil rig digged a little bit too close and got close to where they are, and took basically, if they're like a hive, it took the new queen of the trench, the scientists and whatnot, just thinking they found a new species and whatnot. So the trench are trying to get their queen back, and so it plays out where this Arthur and Nara show up and basically aid the trench. And I like how Arthur reaches out to the new queen and diplomatically tries to solve this.
Yeah, they have to go and save the new queen, and rides off at the end with the others. No, I mean, if I have a complaint about the issue, because I think the issue is solid for what it's doing, I think it's that even though I really like the action side of it, I don't actually think it really ties into the actual point of the issue that much, even though it's the bit I like the most.
I think, honestly, given that we've just seen Sejik's cover in the Solicits featuring the trench, it's more, hey, the trench are coming back soon.
True.
Well, and I like what it means too, that the Hive are willing to cause another war to get essentially their baby queen back, right? And what does that mean for Arthur and Mara talking about kids and about their busy life? And at the end of the day, if they do have kids, they're going to do whatever they can to protect that child So I thought it did fit in. It was a little bit messy with how it fit in, but
Yeah.
I didn't realize this was Kyle Higgins until the last page, and then it all clicked.
Yeah, I don't really like his voices for a lot of these.
Yeah.
Weirdly, especially his Batman.
Yeah.
Like that was horrible. His Batman line about we'll let you off roll call tomorrow. We'll understand.
Yeah.
And I also brought pie. Like
yeah.
I did not like his Batman at
It was
all.
I got a little bit of the Batman socially awkward with Kyle Higgins. Maybe that's not what I was supposed to get from it.
I don't know. It's like Arthur's like, after he said, I brought pie, Arthur goes, oh, does it explode? He goes, we'll see.
Yeah, that was bad.
What?
Yeah. Went too far. I got socially awkward as well. It probably went a little bit too far though with a couple of the lines.
Yeah. So but I do give Higgins credit for digging back into the proposal era in the stuff that was going on in Justice League with those big gigantic aliens absorbing people and how the Justice League dealt with it. Like, as much as I didn't want to be reminded by it, I was like, oh wow.
That was a thing.
That was a thing.
I
He just
remember.
reminded me. Yeah, so credit to him. I'll always be a fan of Higgins at DC. So I'll read most things he does.
Generally speaking, I quite enjoy Higgins. I think this is one of my least favorite Higgins things, even though I like the plot and the actions well enough. I think the voices are just not quite there.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got the Aqua family down yet. And like I said, weirdly, his Batman, like I'd have thought he'd have had a better handle on that by now.
Yeah, but no, I thought the Lopresti's art's fine. It's bubbly.
It's really good. Lopresti has a great talent at evoking the past, and even though this is only a couple of years ago, it feels like, hey,
it's
though,
nostalgic.
It's got that great sense of feeling to it. I think he draws Mirror with a very, very, very tiny waist at points, like ridiculously so. That nearly final splash page where the two of them are looking out of the sunset. Oh boy, she was like a stick.
Give that girl a hit. Give her a waist. Right?
Like she's got hips. She's just got no waist.
Yeah.
It's really noticeable on that page in particular. But I like his art overall for the most part.
Yeah. No, I think it's a fine fill-in issue. You know, I have. I remember there was a fill-in in the book during Abnett's run, and it was right during all the good stuff towards the end of his run, and there was that one fill-in with was it Wrath? Was it Wrath? Was it?
Yeah, and we had Kelly Jones on art.
Yeah, there was a fill-in, and it was like the most god-awful, like just
Wrath's dad.
Killing time, useless, wasn't enjoyable to read. As a fill-in goes, this was pretty solid because it still tied into the themes of what's going on in the main story, and gave me a nice little sort of standalone monster adventure. And I think for that, you know, I quite enjoyed it. Obviously, it's not as good as the regular run, and I'm looking forward to getting DeConnick back.
I was glad when I realized this was Higgins, and that it meant that DeConnick hadn't lost all the voices all of a sudden. Because I didn't look at the cover when I was reading it. I just kind of started reading, and I got to the end and saw Higgins and went, "Oh, thank God, it was someone else." That explains so much. And like I said, it's not terrible. It's perfectly readable, and the action's solid.
Like I said, it's a nice fill-in. I had to go back and look at that page that you're talking about, and it's the single page where they're looking at the sunset. Yeah,
it's like the second to last page.
She looks like a Barbie doll.
Yeah, I think it's much more jarring because she hasn't been that bad throughout the rest of the issue. Then
Mare's almost thick. You look at her throughout the issue, and you're like, "Dang, girl, she's been doing squats."
And she stood there next to Arthur in that, who is very, very normal, and it really shows on that page, and it's a shame.
Yep.
Yeah. So, what are you giving it, Matt?
I'm gonna give this one a 7. Solid.
Yeah, Connor.
I'm going with a 6 just for some of the voices feeling a bit off. Otherwise, it probably would have been a 7.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 7 as well. I'm okay with that. So, there we go. That'll take us on to Legion of Superheroes issue 3. Brian Michael Bendis writing with Ryan Sook and Travis Moore on the art. So, I'd say this is the issue where it finally starts to feel like there's kind of a plot, I guess. In that, like, because obviously it starts off with Damien coming with John, and it deals with kind of like the, he can't really breathe properly when he first arrives, and the sort of
the sickness, the time travel sickness, basically,
So they set that stuff up, and that's all fine. But then we get the two camps of Legionnaires who have went out to various places. One to oh god, remember the planet.
Rimbor,
thank you. One to Rimbor, and one the new Cosmic Boys. Actually, the son of
no, Ultra Boy.
Sorry,
Jonah.
There's too many Legion characters. All right.
Here's my question to you, Pete.
Yes.
As this is basically your first Legion book, I mean, yes, you've read an issue of Legion of Three Worlds, right?
Yes.
This book's almost too busy at times because there's so many characters, and I feel like Bendis is juggling them fairly well. But for someone like me who's having a hard time, and I know who all these characters are, right? But still putting them together and trying to pick apart their interpersonal stuff right now, it's a lot. So I can't imagine as a newer reader trying to do that. So did you have any issue? I mean, I think it kind of answers it when you can't tell Cosmic Boy and Ultra Boy apart.
There's just so many. Well, I can tell them apart. There's so many names that I don't remember them all yet. In your brain,
yeah, you're crossing them all over. Like if I showed you pictures, you'd be able to name them, but trying to recall their actions.
Because Cosmic Boy was with Ultra Boy. They're in the same scene together. Yeah.
There was the one weird thing here is I felt something was off when they start talking about relationships, and he's there with Shadowlass, and Cosmic Boy and Shadowlass are apparently an item, and it felt like he came from out of left field.
They have to disclose that to HR. Apparently, that's what they're complaining.
And I get the point of that scene, and it's real funny. It just was so awkwardly paced, and the dialogue was weird, and I didn't get the feeling like it didn't land, and some of the dialogue out of the Warlord of Rimbor, Ultra Boy's dad, that was super super awkward and weird. I don't know. It just feels like I feel for the first time at DC, Bendis is a little over his head.
I did laugh though when Cosmic Boy tried to step up to
up to him.
Yeah, and he just smacked him across the room.
Yeah,
that did make me laugh.
And I like Mon-El taking him down because he is Daxamite.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, I liked. I think this gets better as it goes, because I think the scene starts off as a lot of stuff going on top of relationships. It doesn't really work. Yep. I think it does a neat enough job of focusing in on a couple of key characters that I can kind of get a handle on. And then when we switched to Planet Gotham, I was mainly sticking to Lightning Lad and Saturn Girl is kind of the two that I kind of understand.
Those are your constants. Those are your anchors.
Yeah, and I'll get to know the others, but those were the ones. And they're here to see the Commissioner of Planet Gotham, and they're here to see Mordru, who and it's quite clear that something fishy is going on here with this next part of the scene. But it's actually Saturn Girl inside his head, trying to get it to trick him into talking about why he wants the trident, Aquaman's trident, and what the purpose is for it.
And so also that when they go to Rimbor, the other team, Ultra Boy's dad is super mad because he believes that's his trident.
Yes.
And that he's going to use it. And we get a little bit of the inner political stuff going on there where that planet's in a civil war against the other half. And he gets upset that his son wants to represent the full planet, not just where he's from. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And so is he working with Mordru? Is he working against Mordru? Because they're fighting over that trident. Because Saturn Girl, when she goes to Mordru, she gives that was it the Hormuz? She appears as the leader of that group that they stopped from the last issue, and he kind of figures out what's going on and then hits her with a counterattack, which knocks Saturn Girl out a little off of her game.
But it's around here though that they get called back because obviously they've got Ultra Boy's dad is raising chaos back at base, but it's around here where they realise that Damian Wayne's around and they all start freaking out, and Saturn Girl immediately wipes his mind. Basically,
like he was never there. Which I love the introduction to that where it's John trying to explain to him and Damian not being able to keep up for once, just because of all the weird stuff that John's telling him. And then they get there and he can't be here. What are you doing? You're messing with the time stream. You were supposed to go to orientation. So I love that through line that John hasn't gone to orientation, and if he had, he would know why you can't do this. So then the founders, Cosmic Boy, Saturn Girl, and Lightning Lad, all take Damian back to put him back as if he had never left.
Yeah, but more importantly, though, there's teases here that Damian later in life is going to be something bad, and that's why he can't know anything about them in the future because it'll mess up that side of it. I'm assuming orientation that we're going to get to see will explain some of this, because I don't think this is sort of something that we can just assume that it's something basic. I think this is definitely teasing out that there's more to this and who Damian's going to be, and why they want Superboy to be involved at all, and what their intention with this is. So
it's also too that you have Brainiac who's completely like, he's fine with Damian being there because he can basically study him, and he kind of argues against him not being there. He's like, well, why not? We don't know what's going to happen. And then when Damian goes back, one of the other Legionnaires is like, oh no, wait, I mean, you wanted to keep baby Hitler? Just to throw that in there, you're like, what the hell does Damian do that leads to this? Yeah,
that's a pretty extreme thing to compare him to. So I mean, so they're really messing with that, and then it just has a tease at the end where, they're at the cell with Ultra Boy's dad, and they're talking about the whole Damian stuff. It's like, no, hey, we've got bigger problems to deal with right now. We've got this to deal with. So
I will say the no, I arrest you. All the Legionnaires around there has John, the Warlord, hasn't been down. That is a great page. Like that, this encapsulates the Legion to me. Like what it is in my brain is that page right there.
There's some good pages in this. Because there's two artists, it's not completely consistent.
No.
But there are some really nice pages in there, especially the pages towards the end where Saturn Girl's, trying to explain to John that Damian can't stay here. I thought those faces and the expressions were especially quite good.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the expressions are there because it's got, just so the goofiness that is John is really nailed. Like, of course, he doesn't understand why this is not okay. He just wanted to show his friend. He wanted some familiarity from home, and he kind of even hints like, yeah, I'm not going, fine. I don't want to be here then if I can't have a friend. And they're like, well, if you just go to orientation, you'll be fine. It's almost like a freshman blues when you go off to college, like he's having a hard time adjusting because there's so much to do. But yeah, so the person that stole the Trident, the tease for the next issue is Computo, who's a big time Legion villain, like an old school. He's up there with the Fatal Five. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, John's just hitting that. But yeah, so what the joke was is I had to go back through because this was a lot to take in. But they thought that when Robin showed up, it was Chameleon Boy playing a joke. And then he goes, what kind of joke is that? Look at me, I'm baby Hitler. I would never do that. And even Colossal Boy's confused by that comment. And he goes, that's a deeply unfair assessment of Damian Wayne. And Colossal Boy's like, we don't know what part of the timeline he was from. So, there's clearly something bigger going on. It's not just clear cut, like Damian becomes ruler of the earth and plunges it into darkness. Like, there's clearly a complex story there. So, but a lot to take in. So, but I really enjoyed what I read.
It's a really weird last page, I thought, though, because it's basically just announced to the villain saying, "Hey, well, this will be the end of the Legion of Superheroes." But it's such a downbeat moment. It doesn't feel like the last page of a book. It feels like if it wasn't for this fact that it says "next time this" at the bottom, I'd have said, "Oh, this is the ending." Okay. But other than that, it's probably my favorite of the 3 issues so far. It's still a bit of a tangled web in terms of all the characters. Hopefully that continues to smooth out as we go. But because of that, I still think this is definitely at the bottom of my Bendis books in terms of...
Yeah, it still is. Although it's starting to hit the stuff that I like in Legion, where I'm getting to know these characters, because it opens up with the introduction to Dawnstar.
Yeah. That said, though, this does have much better art than Action Comics currently, so I'll say that much.
Yes, that's true. But no, it's hitting those things. I'm getting to see more of the characters. Like, You get to see the interpersonal stuff here with like Colossal Boy saying that he hasn't picked that name quite yet, and him ragging on Shadow Lass and Cosmic Boy for their relationship. Like, don't forget, these guys are still teenagers, and with what we read in the Solicits about like the war between the United Planets and the Legion, I feel like that's gonna start to pay off. Like you said, this one's the first that's kind of heavy on plot and not just like the atmosphere of the future. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I really enjoyed this issue.
And we'll see what the mystery of this trident is.
Yep.
But what are you giving it, Matt?
This is neat. I really like this book.
7.5 for me. But I think it's improving. I don't know if my ratings are matched that. Admittedly, I may have given something an 8 before, but I feel like it is getting there, but there's still so many goddamn characters.
As someone who was just kind of half listening to bits of this, what that review boiled down to for me was Matt saying something about Baby Hitler, and Pete saying there are some good pages.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell is this book?
Oh, I was talking about the art specifically, not the
okay. Yeah,
overall.
like I said, I did say that though. I wasn't entirely listening to the whole thing. I just in and out, and those are the bits that caught my attention.
Oh no, yeah. Camille Boy called Damian Wayne Baby Hitler, and then Brainiac 5 is like, well, that's not a fair assessment. So, yeah, there's strange things afoot in the 31st century.
I don't know if I want to know any more than that.
Well, that'll take us on to Jimmy Olsen, number 7, Matt Fraction writing with Steve Lieber on art. Take it away.
Oh boy, this is another dense issue, isn't it?
Oh, not so much, in that it's a lot to take in, but it didn't take me as long to read.
That's fair.
But there is a lot going on. However, it gets broken up with the Little Olsens, which is done Sunday Comics style, like Peanuts or Family Circus, and we get to see the relationship between the Olsen siblings, and also Jimmy's interview at the Daily Planet. So there's a lot of foundational stuff here in who Jimmy Olsen is.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how much this book actually fits in to 20 odd pages.
It does. And so at the beginning, we have Jimmy talking to a psychiatrist or a therapist about how he feels like he's actually 5 Jimmys in one, and like it's very hard for him. And then it lists all the different versions of Jimmy that we know.
Yeah, you've got the journalist one.
Yep.
You've got the changing restless Jimmy who appears as a lizard in his brain.
Yeah.
You've got the prankster, which naturally looks like a kid.
Yep.
The investigator, which looks like the hard-boiled noir detective who's really run down. And then there's him trying to keep it all together, and looks
just regular Jim.
Yeah, slightly neater hair than regular Jimmy, but more or less regular. Interesting.
But yeah, and basically knocks the therapist. I'm sure there'll be some more of that once we get there. Nothing in this book is exactly what it seems, because to skip over the little Jimmy parts, because we can go back to that.
Yeah.
Him and his sister are going to where we don't know, but she's driving an old school electric car, and they got Dexter in there with them.
Because of course, I love that Dexter's just kind of here in this book now.
Yeah, why not? It's just, he's Jimmy's cat now.
And he's playing with like bits of camera roll at him and like, hey, come and be a kitty, and like, this is Dexter. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, and not Jim Corrigan, not that Jim Corrigan, we should say.
Joe, that joke has been reminding me of something in Doctor Who, where there was a character called Harriet Jones, and she was like an MP, and then she was Prime Minister, and she'd always introduce her as Harriet Jones, Prime Minister, and then the other person would go, "We know who you are."
Yeah,
and it kind of reminds me of that joke for whatever reason. I can hear
it's
the
a little
inflection.
bit. Well, they go, "Oh, like Jim Corrigan, not that Jim Corrigan." That's always but he's from Metropolis PD. And so he's investigating the, not assassination of Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
And as he's talking to the
motel owner.
Yeah, who has said, I just told him don't go near the curtains. If he had just listened.
Near the Coitons.
The Coitons, right. But the doctor's there too, with them because he runs in to warn Jimmy.
It's
And
like,
as
oh
they're
no,
having
I'm too late, or maybe I'm too early.
he can't even tell anymore. This flying saucer ship crash lands, and Jixelle comes out, who's the girl that Jimmy married all that long ago, who his presence and the fact that he never got it annulled is ruining this other wedding that she's involved in. But you come to find out that this jewel thief is the professor's daughter, and that they escaped the wherever they're from. I forget the
infraverse, the oververse, ultra space, underspace, the quantum verse, the microstream, Philadelphia,
which I love. But came looking for Jimmy, and then she really doesn't want to explain to Dad why she's looking for Jimmy.
She's just like, no reason. It just sounds helpful.
So
editor's note: she's lying.
She's lying, right? And as they try to stop him, she gets up into the spaceship and then takes off. And Corrigan wonders,
hey, this is space stuff. This is out of your jurisdiction. We'll deal with this.
Yeah, and he goes, wait, why do all these people want to find Jimmy Olsen and kill him? Yeah, and kill him. You really asking? I'm finally starting to understand why. But it goes back to the little Olsen. So what we have there is all three of the kids in Sunday comic style talking about what they want to be when they grow up. And
have we
the sister
much of the third one in present day?
No, just at the beginning, because he got mad at Jimmy for destroying the statue that he was trying to preserve.
Yeah. We haven't seen a lot, though, have we?
No, I can't even remember his name. It does start with a J because they're all J's.
It's Jimmy, Jamie, and
unknown J.
Yeah. So,
so basically, the sister from the start wanted to be a theater writer, but like she has this really fun soliloquy about.
Like she wants to be an actor, but not really. She only wants to be an actor so that she can be a writer and do all her own stuff.
Right. Which then reminded me of Marriage Story and Adam Driver's character story, right?
Oh, man.
Right? Oh. That's his thing there.
Way to bring my mood down, Matt.
Sorry. And then the older brother's like, well, that's boring. He basically just wants to take over the city, which I feel that's ominous because he wants to make it better.
Yeah.
And then they ask Jimmy what he wants to be. And all the stuff that he starts listing. He wants to be a cowboy monster. He wants to have 100 dogs that are ninjas. He wants to eat pies on the moon. He wants to fight Christmas monsters. And then just a whole list of stuff that people have checked. And a lot of these are from Jimmy Olsen comics.
I bet they are. I didn't even feel like I needed to check. I went, these are 90% of these have all happened. Because of course they have. Because Jimmy Olsen is a weird bastard in comics.
Yeah. A beetle that... He wants to be a beetle, but in Julius Caesar times, that's one that exactly happened.
Of course it did.
Yep. And 5 things that are really 3 things. I thought that one was a weird one, but basically he's sad and the sister's taking his hand. So you can just tell that the sister's been the one that's kind of always been there for him. And no matter what kind of insanity he gets involved in, she's there. And so it goes to them playing hide and seek when they're kids, same style. And Jimmy gets lost and ends up the whole family has to come look for him. Yeah. So
he won that game, that's for sure.
Yes, he did. And then we get to his interview, which Perry's kind of like, well, why do I need to hire you? Like, I don't. And
I ended up loving this because I was shocked because at first it's like, hey, I'm Olsen, I'm the rich kid, just hire me, right? Yep. And then it swerves it as to, he's not like that at all.
Mm-mm. And I'm very good at getting into places that I shouldn't be, but because I'm Jimmy Olsen, people don't question me. It's the ultimate cover.
Yeah, and Perry's kind of like, oh, I get it. You're rich. You've got family connections. Yeah. I'm not hiring you just because of that. I'm not, I'm not that sort of person. Uh-huh. And you kind of feel like going through this that Jimmy's there just because he's Jimmy Olsen, right?
Right.
And then it's like, no, he brought this scoop. He got this picture of the mayor with some criminal guy who, in a court trial, swore under oath that he never knew, he'd never met before.
Right. And you get a sense of Jimmy's morality, too, because the reason that he ended up in that room to get that picture was because they had fired one of the staff at this country club that he's been going to.
Yeah.
So then when he started to look for where the guy was, he runs into the guy's wife, and the guy's wife also works there, who then, goes, oh, well, he's in the meeting. So because he's Jimmy Olsen, nobody questions why he's there or why he's taking pictures. And he's like, well, she's like, wait, so you brought a scoop for your interview? He's like, well, yeah, but I figured you'd...
Yeah, I didn't want to just assume you'd give me a job because of my last name, because there's a lot of places in town that want to give me a job because of my last name, but I wanted you to know I'd pull my weight.
Right, and that he wants to make a difference. Like, as goofy as Jimmy Olsen is, at the end of the day, despite who he is and where he comes from, he has this sense of, I want to make the world a better place. And you understand why he's Superman's best friend, right?
Absolutely. Like, and then it ends, it's Perry there going, I don't know if we've got the budget for another salary or, for a whole new person on staff. And Jimmy's like, I don't need a salary. Like you said, I'm rich. Joe, what do I care? Just hire me and let me do
salary would be
stuff.
Weird. Yeah. And Lois even goes to bat for him here, where he talks about how he, he's got great hustle. He talks to people. He's got a good eye. Like, he's a really good photojournalist and he's not even trying. Imagine if he tried. That's the undercurrent that I feel that she has there. And then so he's like, you don't have to pay me. So Perry and Lois look at each other.
Like, why in the hell not?
Yep. Welcome to the A planet. And then we get a meeting. So I don't know when this is supposed to be taking place. If this is around the same time or if this is now.
It feels a little earlier because
Lex,
they're calling Lex Alexander. Like they don't he's not the entire big shot that he is already.
Right. And he shows up to a meeting with Jimmy's dad, and he brings him a bunch of expensive cigars and whatnot. And he's basically trying to make a deal with him.
He's like, yeah, I know our families have been at war for hundreds of years, but isn't this easier?
Uh-huh. And he's like, where's that at here? Tells him to have a seat. He goes, no, I don't think I'll be doing that. And basically Lex tries to get the higher ground, but Jimmy's dad doesn't, doesn't flinch.
Basically Lex is like, I own all of this. And he's like, you own the buildings, sure.
Well, we don't.
But I own the land underneath them, and that's what matters more.
Right. And so he gets real mad, and
it's just Jimmy in the corner taking a picture as well.
And then he runs out as they yell Jimmy. But but we find out that where Janie and Jimmy were going is Opal City, and we finally get the again Fraction breaking the fourth wall with the we forgot to put a title page in, so here it is during the last part of the book.
Yeah, it's
got to be breaking some rules, but he ends up in Opal City, and it's this big opulent, pardon the pun, city. Definitely. But he's like, why would I want to be here? And he looks around, and everybody's dressed like him.
Yeah, they've got the
sweater vests on, bow ties. And he's like, no. And they end up leaving. And the sister's kind of upset. So I wonder what this is about. Like,
it's just kind of weird because they get there and she's like, welcome to Opal City. Hope you survived the experience. He's like, why would you say that? That's weird. Yeah. She's like, it's just a thing people say, which, I mean, it is, but it's weird. And he's like, no, not in this book.
No. So, and from what I know about Opal City, that's where Starman is. That's where the Atom operates out of. So I'm just trying to figure out why.
Why Opal?
Why Opal? Why are they all dressed like Jimmy? Like, what is going on? So there's still enough threads here that I'm finally starting to put together the Olsen Luther stuff here, where a lot of that comes from. Yeah. Of course, it has to do with the land dealings and Lex being this, even though he's from a family that's well known, that's been in Metropolis since it was New Overstad.
The Olsens still own the actual land, and that's what matters. Yeah, and Lex hates that.
But they're treating Lex like he's this new money guy that's coming in, because Lex is even like, I don't understand why I have to come to this tomb of all you old people that think you have a say on what I can and can't do. So it's very almost like new tech, kind of what I wanted out of the Batman versus Superman Lex, and not the crazy...
I could see Eisenberg playing this Lex.
Yeah, right? Like, he's got the swagger because he's young and he has money, but this guy that's been doing it longer than Lex has been alive, you can kind of get the vibe. But yeah, no, it's really good. Like
this book is much deeper than I ever gave it credit for at the start,
Yeah.
because there's so much going on, and it feels like, hey, it's just the jokey fun thing, and it is always jokey and fun and delightful.
Yeah, but it's also throwing in these, I don't want to say politics. It's really not politics, but it's the dynamics of powerful families and what that means to the average people. And you can see that Jimmy doesn't like that. He doesn't like that his family is this upper crust treating people like they don't matter.
Yeah, that's why he's going out to work for the planet for free, because he doesn't know what else could be better.
Right, because he can expose all of this. He's from that world, and it's why I had such an issue with Iron Fist, the Netflix show, is instead of focusing on the dude that becomes best friends with Luke Cage, who's from this rich family that could have done anything he wanted, he's fighting on the side of the people that are not like him. And basically what Fraction's doing with Jimmy, which is, then I remember Matt Fraction had a hand in my favorite Iron Fist story.
Yeah. It's the idea that he's kind of giving up all of that rich fanciness to be the common man, so to speak, as much as he can, being Jimmy Olsen. Right.
So, yeah, really, really good. Faction's doing the thing. Lieber's art's good. I feel it's the cleanest. I feel like, and I feel because it's nostalgic. Like it's not as cartoony. I mean, it is in the cartoon parts, right?
I wonder if it is actually any more cartoony or less cartoony. I think it's more just that because the Lil Olsen stuff is so over the top classic cartoon that the rest of it feels less cartoony in comparison.
I just feel like the Lex scene, it's not as cartoony, right? It's almost like if we're looking through Jimmy's lens, everything's cartoony, but when we take the step out of there, we see the real world of it. And this is the first time I feel like we're getting that. You know what I mean?
You're right. Looking at it now, it's a lot cleaner lines in the Lex stuff, and it's not as over-exaggerated.
Right. So, and I'm feeling, so that's the break in it, that we're seeing things. This is the realness, or the reality of it, because it doesn't have Jimmy's like, oh, well, this is funny, because he wants to be a cowboy monster, right? It gives us good insight on Jimmy Olsen, but yeah, man, this is a book that I didn't believe at the beginning, and now I look forward to it every month. Like, it's a real fun book.
I was kind of looking forward to it just on, it's Fraction. I like Fraction well enough, and then now it's low key becoming like a favorite in that every issue is so dependable, and like I say, it's dense in a good way, that it has a lot going on, but it's still fast to read, but there's so much going on in it. But it's also very funny as well, and that it's unlike any other DC book now.
Well, definitely, just with the way it's laid out and whatnot, and then just Fraction's level of comedy that he's bringing to it. Like, it weirdly makes me, even though these books have nothing in common except for Fraction, but like Sex Criminals, a lot of the jokes that were in there have the same underlying, like, they hit you later, like they're kind of subtle. And here they're more slapsticky stuff, but like the sister saying how she wants to go actress first, but I only want actress so then I can start my own repertory theater. Like, who thinks of that? Why does it need to be in a comic book? But there it is.
Especially this young kid who's maybe like 6 or 7.
Right. So, but yeah, I guess you could say this is almost like I don't want to say Wes Anderson, because I'm not a big fan of his filmmaking, but there's that Wes Anderson-y
kind of quirky, offbeat feel.
Quirky, heightened sense of reality vibe to this book. And that drives me nuts. I'll say Spike Jonze. Spike Jonze does that too, and I enjoy his movies more.
I can see that.
So, yeah. But cool. What you giving it, Connor?
It's 8.5. It's a great issue, and it's nice to give something a higher rate.
Yeah, 9 out of me. I really enjoyed this one.
It's good.
Yep.
Excellent. There you go. That was 17, almost 18 minutes, in fact.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It's the best book we've had so far.
So far, easily.
I get more of a break. I didn't even realize. Next book is Freedom Fighters issue 12.
Which,
just me.
Yeah, which is Robert Venditti and Eddy Barrows, how was it?
Is this the final issue?
Final issue,
This is the final issue. Yeah. Everything's wrapped up. a little too cleanly for my likings. It's a book that I fell off from, got caught up on, really enjoy. I just the fittings, the ending's a little too fitting, and it kind of lacks the stakes that they build up to. And that Hitler or the Third has launched the nukes, so they have to figure out a way to stop that and save save the Earth. But before they can launch, they realize that they have to have human palm. He's never gone this big before of an explosion, that if they can take out the bunker that they're in where the signal's coming from to launch the nukes, then the nukes won't be launched. So while the freedom fighters are dealing with that, and they're like, well, no, we all finally came together. We're going to beat the Nazis finally. Uncle Sam is fighting Cyborg Overman, and it's not even close. Like, this is a Brock Lesnar squash match. Uncle Sam, who's become empowered by the power of belief in America, to fight the Nazi scourge, defeats Cyborg Overman like there's no problem. Like, squishes his skull Terminator style, like the beginning, the tank treads rolling over the skulls, and you see the other patriotic figures. So you have Britannia over what was England, and you have, I got to pull the book up now. You have the French one over France as well, and that's where Uncle Sam realized that freedom's back, and they're massive. So you see as Uncle Sam takes out Hitler, that he's gotten huge. And so Britannia fights over London, Marianne over Paris, and then the Golem of Prague, who is breaking up concentration camps, and they're all huge. And it's basically freedom is back, and it's because of the freedom fighters. And just when you think Human Bomb has actually sacrificed himself and we're gonna have a heroic end, no, he walks out, and that sort of was kind of a, I don't know. I feel like not that there should be a cost, but all of the freedom fighters survived this, and I don't know. Not that it didn't stick the landing, because it did, but it all built up that there's no way Human Bomb out of this, and that he's ready to give the noble sacrifice, and no, he walks up and joins with them at the end, and Hitler the Third gets away, and so of course he goes down to Argentina, and they're all kind of worried about that, but they're going to get the United States back going, and it's 8 months later in Argentina. You find out that Hitler the Third took his dad's head and is keeping it in a jar, and he talks to him and how they're going to rise up again, and as he goes to lay his head down, Black Condor, who's still a Plastic Man, who throughout the series we've been told that the Plastic Man serum wears you out quicker, so he only has limited time. But here he is 8 months later, coming after Hitler the Third in Argentina, and that's where it ends. That they've restored America, and Uncle Sam's back and freedom's back. But yeah, I don't know. It's almost a bittersweet thing, because I feel like Venditti almost has an awesome ending here, and it just kind of, you're like, oh no, it all ties up real nicely. So Eddy Bear's art's, it's solid, like it has been throughout. The fight scenes with Uncle Sam and Cyborg Overman are really good. Double page spreads and whatnot, and there's emotion there. That's why when everything ends happily, you're kind of like, oh well. Okay, so if I'm grading it, I gotta give it a 7.5, because it's still really good, and I recommend the series to everybody. But I don't know, it just feels a little bit off to me.
All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to go back and reading it at some point, just in one fell swoop. But yeah. I don't know when I'm fitting that in, admittedly, but at some point.
Yeah, it's worth a read. And Venditti, it makes me. He is. When we were going through Solicits, I saw that his World War II book that he did, that's based off of 2 events, is coming out in trade in May. So I'm after reading this and his Hawkman and being reinvigorated, I definitely want to check that out now.
Yeah, I feel like if I get to this, it'll probably be after it's in a sale in Comixology, when the trades and the the $5 everything line wide sale. That's maybe when it'll happen. But hey, there you go. So that's Freedom Affairs. That'll take me on at least, to the Batman's Grave issue 4, Warren Ellis and Bryan Hitch. This will be a quick conversation because it's a very quick issue.
Another one.
This book, like, I'll have a few pages of a lot of text, but then ultimately, like, over 2/3 of the book. In fact, this is probably the biggest ratio so far in favor of just there's action happening, and the action is pretty much silent.
This really sounds like Ellis goes, hey, we'll do the detective stuff, and then Hitch just draw whatever the hell you want for the rest of the issue.
kind of. It's him going to see this guy who was responsible for the murder of the guy who was taking the drugs last issue, and Batman comes in and he's got like a few people to fight, and he there's these guys around with him who are on something, and like I'd say like 3/4 of this issue is just Batman fighting these guys, and luckily it looks great and it flows really well. Definitely a lot of big panels. There's not a lot of small panels. It's all like these big, like a page will have 3 or 4 big horizontal panels and that's it. But it'll flow quite well. Everything has a lot of room to breathe. But at least there's some sort of cult or society that Batman wants to investigate. So the last page is like I'm back in the Batcave, and Alfred makes a little dig about, hey, this vigilante like cult or whatever we're going after here. Like maybe you could get rid of the bad apples and train the rest, and you could maybe devote your time to some other things. And then makes a few snarky suggestions, like he says, why don't you find a wife on a Jersey Shore TV show or something like that. And I feel like the reason why Ellis is writing this book is purely because he wants Alfred to be as catty as humanly possible. He's writing the most like snappy Alfred dialogue I've read in some time. The book is enjoyable. It's not a must read by any means. I feel like I've been kind of like narrowing what I say about this every time now, because it's very consistent what it is. It's a solid Batman book that's a romp that doesn't really have much more than that, at least not as of yet. But it looks good. It reads well enough, and if you want another Bat book, and you might not, because there's a lot of Bat books, but if you do,
I have enough.
It exists.
Is this the book finally making Pete come around on Hitch like me and Matt did on Hawkman?
It's definitely the best I've seen of him. It's not my favourite, but it's definitely the best work I've seen from Hitch. It's one of these things where if the weeks this comes out gets busier for me, it would be the book that I would eventually drop. But at least so far, there's been no reason to. So
it's been on pretty quiet weeks so far.
Yeah, I'll keep reading it. I'm happy to read it. Not a whole lot to report though. There's one particularly great panel actually. That's when he's like first enters the room, he has like some smoke pellets come in, because they're kind of half expecting him, because they know that he was at the mansion last issue, because he got attacked there as well. And there's like one just sort of all silhouette of Batman coming in with his cape out, sort of classic Batman looking panel, which is really nice. But pretty straightforward Bat book. So there you go. I'd give this a solid 7. There you go. So that'll take us on to arguably the main event of the week, I think, because there's a Jeff Lemire book out, and it is Black Label. It is The Question: The Deaths of Vic Sage, issue 2. So Jeff Lemire writing with Dennis Cowan on the art. This is... So we ended the last issue with it was like Question was being put back in time, either whether he's physically traveling back or if he's just getting into the memories of a previous, incarnation.
He's tripping balls.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
Way of putting it.
And this story here doesn't really address how he connects to this. I mean, we assume that he's kind of reliving this.
At the end, it feels like it kind of implies there was a dream for him.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, no, because the ending's not in present day, or present day as to what the first issue was. It's still in the past. It's a different time period.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
It goes. We're going through what it means to be the Question. I feel in different time periods.
Yeah,
because now.
Because obviously this story, for the most part, this issue is set, before the turn of the century. It's, 18 something.
Old West.
Yeah.
It's 1886, tells you on the very first panel.
Yeah, and then and at the ending when he wakes up, it's not back to the 80s or whatever it was when we left. In the first issue, it's like 1940 something. Yeah. So we're doing so this is the Old West story. The next issue, assuming it continues from where
Probably
this one leaves off,
noir detective story.
is the noir one, yes. So interesting stuff there. So does anyone have? So one of the weirdest things about this issue is that the name that he's using, because obviously it's revealed at the end or towards the end that his first name is Charles, but the name that he's using throughout this issue is Victor Zsasz, and I couldn't help but feel that is, some spelling perhaps aside, very similar to another character in the DC universe.
No, I'm with you, especially early on where it teases him with the axe, and I was like, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah, so I looked this up because of the name. So the name's Hungarian in origin, right? And we have a friend who has a Hungarian last name that I've had to ask how to say it, right? Right. And so I looked up pronunciation of this, and that the S and the Z make an SA sound, right? So it's not Zaz, it's Saz, which I know sounds the same, but we're differentiating.
But
that's different.
But there's an intent. I mean, this is clearly intentional to make us think of it, though, because otherwise you wouldn't put Victor in front of it. The fact that Victor's put in front of it makes me think, well, this is clearly he wants me to think about Zaz. He wants me to think about the Batman villain.
Yeah. He definitely wants that on your mind. I think that's why I say I think it plays with that, because it gives him the axe, and and then you hear the name, and you're like, oh, is something going to happen? And then of course there is a horrific looking murder, and it crosses your mind, right, because of that name.
Yeah, so the story here is about he's in a small town, and he encounters this black man who's been refused service at the local hardware store, and he kind of buys the axe for him and gives it to him outside. But because of this, the black man and his family, his wife, get attacked in the middle of the night, claiming that the priest and someone else says, "Oh, we saw you, leave this man. The store owner from earlier is dead, and he's got an axe in his back." And all these witnesses lying, saying they saw him do it. So our boy Zaz comes out and helps, has a bit of a heroic moment, and they sort of leave the town. And it's quite a dark story, because both the man and his wife do end up being killed when the priest and these men kind of raid out after them and take some shots. And then ultimately...
It's one of those things that early on it feels like she got fridged. But then, when he goes as well, it becomes...
So they both got fridged.
Yeah, but I think... Well, I mean, in the context of the female character who had like 2 lines before this, it got shot in the face, and it was like, okay, that was, kind of felt awkward in that sense, but then he goes as well, so it kind of evens out.
Well, yeah, it's the price of him doing good. You know what I mean?
But anyway,
there's a sacrifice.
So what happens here is that this other woman shows up, saves his ass from everyone else, and she is looking for the chosen one, or however she phrases it, for the Charlie. There's someone called Charlie who she took this shaman job from the previous dude, and he was like, "Oh, there's going to be a Charlie," and eventually he admits that his first name is actually Charles. And that's kind of what leads to this. And it gets a bit trippy at a couple of points where he's kind of like stumbling about. And then ultimately, as we see, he wakes up in the 40s and he's like, "Oh, that was a weird dream." And it bookends with the book, because the start of the book sort of has him waking up saying, "Oh, that was a weird dream." And we don't necessarily know what he was dreaming about the first time, but...
the question is, was the first time the present day one that we saw before, or was there another one before this in the timeline?
Right.
Probably more likely the latter, I'd say, and the idea that he's living through all these different stories, and that's why each one's feeling like a memory of each one's like, oh, that felt like a dream, the one that I just had, and he's moving through time, experiencing them all. That'd be my guess based on what they've shown us so far, but
I kind of like the idea of the circular nature of the kind of quote unquote present day one being that was a weird dream to this guy in the Old West.
Yeah, well, time's a flat circle, right? And that's here. And so I said earlier what it means to be the question, and I feel like in that first issue we saw what it meant for him in that time period of him being the news anchor, but also going in and busting heads when he needs to, and the division of black and white, like for moral sake, right? And then here we have him doing kind of the same thing, but what he's up against here with the townsfolk and the pastor because we find out that the pastor is actually the great evil
Yeah.
that he's meant to take down, and that the great evil takes many different forms. And so here, Lemire never just writes a simple superhero story, right? There's always layers. And here I feel in this issue is while we always get like the black and white with the question and how he inspired Rorschach, with here it's he's on the opposite side where no, there's a clear black and white here. It doesn't matter what this priest or pastor is, right, who's supposed to represent good and morals here, when he's the one that's whipping them all up, is like, yeah, that this might be the law, but the law can be corrupted, right? And that he's not going to stand by and let, just because it's the law, he's not going to let them enforce an unjust law.
Yeah, well, you were kind of hinting at something there before that when you said how he's kind of doing the same thing in this time period. And he actually is, if you actually think about what he's doing, he's essentially, when he stops to hang, he's trying to explain to everyone what's really going on. He's trying to spread the truth, which is essentially what he's trying to do as a news anchor in the 80s. So there's definitely some similar vibes and how in each...
You could already see how that plays into the noir detective.
Yeah, how each period he's going to do something different, but he's essentially trying to accomplish the same things in each time period. It also mentions...
But I also feel like as the further he goes, the more complex it gets. And that's why I feel like in the modern day, there's going to be more of the shades of gray because of in the first issue, if you remember, the lady that's also that he knows, I can't remember exactly her story, but she's the sister of the guy that gets busted.
Yeah.
And she tells him it's not exactly what he thinks it is, right? But he goes off on his own way because he's his own
crusade.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like in each one, the earlier that we go, it's a little bit more simple. Here's like, no, the townspeople are racist. They're running this guy up. He didn't do anything wrong. And, Charlie ends up paying the price ultimately for doing good. And I feel like in the 40s one that we're going to go, it's going to get a little bit more complex, but still there's black and white, good and evil.
That makes sense.
The great evil over, right? And then now in the modern day, it's a lot more complex, and the great evil is not going to be exactly who we think it is. And I feel like I've read enough Lemire to know that's where it's going, but I'm also excited to see if that's where...
Lemire is a master of telling the same core idea of a story repeatedly and always still knocking it out of the park and making me want to read the next take on it.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning as well that the version in the Old West here, like he mentions that he was part of like the squads that would go and kill the Native Americans. So he has a lot of guilt. He has a lot of like sort of stuff to redeem himself for, which is why he's perhaps he is such a hero in the context of this story, because he's trying to fight for redemption. He regrets his past actions.
He's haunted by what he did, and he can't take that back, but he can make it better now. He doesn't have to let it keep happening. And there's that cycle again here. He's not going to let it keep happening. He's going to change it. But yeah. I never thought I wanted to see an Old West Question before, because Question's not a character that I'm like super stoked on. But he fits in the Old West. And like if we got the Old West Justice League kind of story, they do that Justice Riders, like give me the Question interacting with Hawkman, right?
Yeah.
Of that era.
I think Cowan's art really suits as well. I think it's even though his style is not changing here, I think his style suits both the noir 40 stuff that we're going to get and also this Old West. Like that double page spread of him on the horse, kind of going through with the guns, I think is fantastic for this art style. And yeah, I can't wait to see this in the the hard-boiled noir stuff.
Yeah, his art here is really good. There's a lot of the arrows through the faces and all that kind of stuff. The colouring from the gun blast being really warm and orange versus the cold sort of nighttime behind it. Really nice stuff. Honestly,
it's a scratchy style, isn't it?
My only complaint with the art is that. And actually, it's worth mentioning when he's walking through the desert and he's kind of hallucinating, he does kind of see a city, like a modern city in the distance at one point. So I think that's kind of the idea of like the transition to the new time period, kind of almost like in his psyche.
Seeping in, and there's the question mark in blood.
Yeah. I will say though, some of the art during this section, even though some of it looks great, there's the odd panel where I get that it's doing kind of like a you know, it's like kind of almost trippy look where it's meant to be a bit more weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like it when it goes more, because I think his style by its nature's already got this kind of rough, scratchy feeling to it, which is fine. But when he intentionally makes it more weird than it naturally is.
Are there any panels in particular you could point out that you didn't really enjoy in this regard?
I'm just looking through this section now.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like, you know, the ideas of the question mark smoke going on at this point as well.
Yep.
Yeah. It was basically when they first. It's probably just before he hallucinates. Actually, there's a couple of times where like actually no, hold on, I'll tell you where. There's a 9-panel grid when he's talking to the woman, and it's just the legs and the body shape and just the way everything is there. It's more in the bodies rather than the faces. It feels a little bit less defined than a lot of the rest of the book. When we get to the big moments later on when he's got the question mask on again, but he's still got the cowboy hat on, that stuff looks great. It's just when he's drawing full body forms at a wider shot when they're in smaller panels that I think it looks a little bit weird. But then you have pages where he's like dual wielding pistols on a horse and the question mask, and it looks fantastic.
Phenomenal, yeah.
Yeah. So again, minor quibbles. It only affects maybe a few pages.
Yeah, it's few and far between. I understand where you're coming from. I think generally speaking, the art really suits the style that it's going for and the atmosphere of the time period.
Yeah. Also, it's worth mentioning because I assume this great evil is going to be traveling through time with him as well. He's going to like encounter him multiple times.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Because it has that bit with the note where he's the man with no face, and then the villain's the man with 1,000 faces. It's kind of a nice contrast between them.
Yeah.
Where the villain's constantly changing his face, and the question just doesn't have one.
Who is the villain? It's the idea. The villain is everyone, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that'll be end with him looking out at the city. And come back for book 3 of 4. Right? There's 4 of these.
Yes.
4.
So really neat. Yeah. I mean, I've never read a question book before. On its own. So I'm digging this.
Yeah,
up to this point, my question was Renee Montoya in 52.
I think that applies to all of us, actually.
Yeah, right. Like, but the question, I'm definitely this book, Lemire's question, I'm definitely in on because the way that he's telling the story.
One of the options for us on Previously, which is our new sister podcast, which is every other week on the same feed, where me and Connor are reviewing classic DC Comics runs. Check it out. But one of the things we might do in that some point is that the post-crisis question series, as I think the big Vic Sage one that anything kind of takes from later. So that maybe want to do at some point on there when a slot opens up. But obviously, we just started, so the slots fill for a while.
It'll be a while. Obviously, you'll get your vote coming soon, I imagine, if Pete hasn't done it already.
In the next day or two. Basically, I've been trying to do all the votes for the month in the last couple of days, and I just keep them too busy. So it'll be as soon as I can find time to actually make all the images and put it all up. So that's the question, the deaths of Vic Sage issue 2. Matt, what are you giving it?
I'm going to give this an 8.5.
Connor, what are you giving it?
Yeah, 0.5.
I'll also give it the 8.5. Yeah. I think all three of us considered the 9, and I thought about it and went, man, not quite that amazing, but great, really great.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that'll take us on to the other Black Label book we got this week, one of the Hill House numbers. It's The Lolo Woods, issue 2, Carmen Maria Machado with Dani strips on art. So this is the one where the town is on fire underneath, so it's always warm. And the weird health things have been happening, especially with the women who always seem to pass out and then wake up.
Yeah, they just lose time.
Yeah, and we immediately assumed that sounded quite sinister, like something really bad might have happened to them, and that's kind of what the ending of this book implies, because the ending of this book, one of our main characters, Elle, says that after that incident in the movie theater, this is what the issue is, it's them investigating that kind of.
Yep.
Like she woke when she got home and realized something. She realized her underwear was inside out, as if someone had taken them off and put them back on, which has a very dark, assumptions that go with that.
The implication is clear.
Yeah. So, and she's kind of terrified by that. And it's them kind of investigating. I mean, the movie theater usher guy, Josh, says something really weird.
Yeah.
He says, thirsty in heaven.
Yeah.
Right.
This is one of those things where when was this book set? This isn't like a present day one, is it?
So they talk about the in the 60s and 70s, the what is it? The heaven place, the resort.
Yeah.
Was like that's the place to go and whatnot. And but
I think I remember.
So this could be early 90s.
I think I remember this being 90s because there was a reference to Cobain's death in the last issue.
Yeah, it was 90s.
Right.
I'm sure it was 90s.
Because this was weird, because thirsty in the modern context, in this sense, usually it's kind of associated with, kind of asking for it, you're being a bit slutty sort of thing. Right. Whereas I feel like that's a relatively modern term for the word. Like, it's in the last couple of years. I think it's the first time I've really kind of come across that.
The context of the book I read it in, though, is like they got slammered. And he's like, wait, what? And that's why she's like, wait, what'd you say? And then he covers it back up. So it's almost like they were drinking too much. Like, this is their fault. So
yeah,
like this is definitely a parable for sexual assault at this point. Right?
Oh yeah, there's no question.
Yeah,
I mean,
so that's where I'm thinking.
And it's worth mentioning that we don't even address the cliffhanger from last issue. Like, that doesn't even come up. The weird hole in the stomach.
All she talks about is how her hand feels weird since she was with that girl.
Yeah. And we see the sort of the burning flying thing over her head again at one point in there as well. We also get a flashback to how they meet for the first time. Ellen
kids.
And weird shit was going on for them for long before this.
Yeah.
Which has always been in the town, because the way that they deal with the skinned man who attacks them is they're like, well, we're just not going to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like this is the norm, because they even say. The friend Octavia says that she was out there doing homework and Elle was just riding her bike, but they both knew they shouldn't have been in the forest alone as kids.
It's Octavia who's narrating this, by the way, as well.
Yeah,
worth mentioning.
And stuff, and that and then this skinned man comes out, attacks them, but Elle's dad gave her a knife and says, because you never know when you're going to need one, and she stabs the thing, and then it takes back off and falls into this pit, and they're like, okay, well, we're never going to talk about this again. And then they become best friends.
Naturally. That's how it works.
Yeah, right.
Kids, right?
Right. I mean, that's how me and my best friend met.
I saw a thing on Twitter the other day. It was like, as a kid, stand in line next to someone, you're basically married for 15 years. As an adult, your best friend, you'll try and meet up once every 5 years.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so they start trying to unravel what had happened to them, because they can't figure it out. There's a lot of sinister undertones, like Pete is saying. And then they go up to the party, and you kind of get a vibe of how the other kids think about them through their interactions at the party. And yeah, but no, I read that when he said that you were thirsty, it's almost like he's basically saying whatever happened to you was your fault. And that's I don't want to say a storyline, but that's always an excuse that when you hear about sexual assault, well, you shouldn't have been drinking so much. Well, no, you shouldn't be sexually assaulting people. Period.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how much they drink.
That's kind of what I was getting at. 'Cause in the sense that I've heard people use it in the last few years, it's not necessarily to do with drink in any regard.
Right.
But that might be where the origin of it comes from. But more, it's hey, they're looking for it.
Right.
And it's not always negative. I should say.
I've never heard it in this context. When I hear someone's thirsty, I don't hear it as a negative thing. I just hear it as someone is horny, and that's both for men and women. Like,
I mean, I've heard it in negative context. Don't get me wrong, but it's not exclusively negative.
Yeah, because I've definitely I've heard someone say it about themselves, like, "Oh, I'm thirsty." Like, like it's not.
Yeah, but you'll see it if someone's acting provocative. They'll call them like oh, she's just being thirsty. Yeah.
So that was the thing for me. I was like, that's a relatively recent kind of use for that term, right?
Yeah, but I feel like it both works with that narrative of, if this is a sexual assault parable and this is the horror of that on the psyches of these girls in this small town.
It feels like it's, oh no, they're intentionally blocking it out, sort of, because of the horror of it.
I mean,
exactly.
Let me ponder something here. That ending from last issue. What if what we saw in that page was just a visual representation of her passing on an STD that she got from being assaulted when she was passed out?
I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
I don't. but this is definitely is giving me now, It Follows vibes, right? Like,
Yeah, I can see
there's
that.
this thing there.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something supernatural or something conspiracy-like going on about how the fact that everyone does seem to pass out. Like, it doesn't necessarily. I mean, maybe they'll swerve me, but it doesn't seem like there's just this weird, like, almost like rite of passage on the other side of the fence where all these guys have learned how to stealthily drug people and they're constantly doing it.
No, I think there is something more going on.
No, there's something supernatural, but that is I feel that's the intent of Machado, of the writer.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Is that there's this. Like, if you look in the 90s and what the culture was too, like, there is a lot. I mean, I'm sure I don't go out, but I'm sure there's a lot of that still going on.
Oh, sure.
We have to watch your drinks and whatnot, but like,
don't get me wrong. What I'm saying here is not like. The actual assault part of it could be very real in the sense that it's just some of the men taking advantage of the thing that's happening rather than, I mean, but at the same time though, it could go full fledged and say no, the thing that's happening to them is also supernatural. It's not necessarily just regular guys.
But you look at the guys, how they're staring at them at the party, like they're sizing them up. They have sinister looks at their face. They're watching them get altered. Because here drugs are introduced. With the two girls and whatnot. And, it's like they are waiting to take advantage. And the shudder to think, stupor in the town of all the women, that could also just be a stand-in for in these small towns where everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, and then you have the metaphor here, and I'm going to bring up the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer for this.
Of course he bloody is.
But I mean, the ground's too hot, the town's on fire thing, like that could literally be the feeling of wanting to escape your hometown, right? Because they talk here about going off to college and how Elle can't because she doesn't have the grades really, and even if she did get accepted,
have the money.
I'd have the money.
Yeah.
But it's this idea.
And that's always an excuse. She doesn't want to leave, right? Because she doesn't think she deserves to leave.
Oh, sure, yeah, if you get into why she's saying that. But, like, Octavia is determined to go, and she's ready to go. And it's this idea that it's, it's like, she almost wants to leave as if, like, in a real-world context, like, you're determined to leave as quickly as you can because you want nothing to do with it. So this idea of it's on fire, it's like, it's this literal representation of, no, I need to get away from here because it's everything that touches is doomed. And we get an example of that in a sequence where Elle goes to the nursing home and she goes around with her dog, and we hear this story from one of the old ladies who lost her husband and her son in various
to the town,
both in some. I mean, it's because the husband was working in the mines or whatever, and then the son was just a hole that opened up in the ground and took him because of what's going on under the ground. So really, dark, grim stuff, but it's this idea of the hometown being this place. It's like a bit of a cesspool that she just wants to get away from and run away to somewhere else. Whereas Elle, on the other hand, even if she's making excuses, feels that she can't and that she's like tied to this place. So, it's notable that she's the one who wants to investigate it because she sees that she's stuck here. So she wants to.
Might as well try and make it better.
She wanted to make it better. Whereas Octavia is like, well, there's no point. I'm just going to leave anyway. Let me just run away and not have to think about it. So it's these two opposing thought processes that are at play here.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because obviously, in the first issue we were. Yeah, there wasn't anything explicitly. Okay, this is a sexual thing that is all about. There was things that maybe it is, and obviously this issue makes it much clearer. Oh, Matt, your mic's going. But I think the moment where if you really had any doubt of any of the subtext, the moment it starts talking about the mushrooms just being dicks, you're like, yeah, okay, I get what you're saying now. Yeah. Which I mean, is maybe a complaint that it's a little bit too overt, but it was kind of a unique way of tying it in.
But also the fact that they're all of these actual organisms, and there's the organisms actually underneath, and the worst parts of it,
the reproductive part that's above ground that you can see
stick up exactly, and
and it makes you question this thing. Is there something under the town that is, and it's trying to? I mean, this kind of makes it feel a little bit more like Dollhouse Family, admittedly, but is it trying to impregnate these women? Right. With using the men as in the town as its reproductive organ, so to speak. Yeah,
they're the mushrooms, and the underlying evil is the greater fungus.
The men are all the mushrooms, and the thing itself is still under the ground.
Also, and that's the thing. As a man, I know how gross we can be. So I always tell my wife that if I was the opposite, right? There's no way I'd go near dudes. Dudes are gross. I don't know how you do it. You know, good on you. Like, I smell bad. Like, you know, I'm gross. So, hey, get out of here, dogs. Bothering the cat. But yeah,
like men and women.
So I definitely get where, you know, if those the guys they're terrible and whatnot. Because let's be real, the majority of guys are terrible. You know, like in their own ways.
Well, yeah, I mean,
there's a scale of terrible here.
Yes, exactly.
There's certainly,
you know, Pete on one side,
hey,
on the other,
hey,
Connor's in the middle.
There's. I was going to make a serious point, and you completely ruined it by going down the stupid joke path.
Go ahead, make your point. I made my joke.
No, it's fine. Most past, but like yes. So I don't think it's a problem that it's overt. I think it's making it very clear here that what it's about. I think it's introduced it in such because honestly, the first issue kind of implied as soon as we read the part where it said they pass out and wake up somewhere, and that's almost a rite of passage in this town. I immediately worried that it was something sexual involved with that. That was the worry. So I think issue 2 making it this clear says to me, no, it's going to be this overt for the rest of the book now, and this is what this is.
Yeah, I think like in issue 1, it was like you say, it was a possibility. You thought about it, but there was nothing actually pointing towards it beyond just the maybe implication of it's a possibility. Whereas this,
I'd say maybe
this is what the story is.
I'd say maybe the last page of issue 1 kind of at least brought sexual themes back into it. That tied it back in.
Well, yeah, and the fact too that they're both lesbians on that too is that they're not the typical, especially in their town, right? Like,
yeah, well, that ties into how they're being looked at the party. I got the sense of homophobia as like the people are looking over their shoulder at them and kind of, you know,
right?
So, you know, and maybe there's something to that. The idea that they're going to be the ones to investigate and expose this because they don't just accept it for what it is. Because you know, like. You know, there's something added to the whole idea of like that monologue and the narration about the mushrooms just being dicks coming from a lesbian, because there's that added layer of like, hey, she especially doesn't like dicks. You know, that's some interesting. So maybe even the idea of their sexuality at play here is also going to be a theme.
That wouldn't be surprising
as we go through it. So, no, interesting. Some
creepy art here, like when the ground swallows the kid's there and then gone. Like there's that the human or the rabbits with human eyes, the flipping skinned man, like the art is like you guys were talking about that with Dennis Cowan.
Mm-hmm.
It's super scratchy, kind of here as well.
I think it's less scratchy, more heavy ink shadows.
Yeah, but it's the same kind of vibe where it's just a little bit off, so it sets the tone, you know, to where it needs to be. But yeah, no, this is a real good book. It's definitely more fun to talk about than it is to read, as weird as that is. You know, like it's a good book, but
I think it will make a fantastic trade.
Yeah. I hope someone decides to adapt this. I'd love to watch this play out visually.
I can see this as a great movie.
Yeah, 6 issues is perfect for a movie. So yeah, that's fair. All right, what are you giving it, Matt?
I'm gonna give this an 8.5.
Connor?
I'm gonna go with a straight 8.
Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8 as well. I will say I like this more than issue 1, and I think as it's going on, I think arguably the conversation out of the Hill House books, even though I still think Basketful of Heads is my favourite, I think this has more to talk about in terms of depth.
Yeah,
I agree, because I think for me, Dollhouse Family is probably my favourite, with the Basketful Heads a close second. And I enjoyed both of those to read more than this book, but I think this has a lot more deeper themes going on in it.
Yeah. So, no,
it's almost like Basketful of Heads, and then Dollhouse is 2B, and this is 2A. This is 2B, like, you know. But yeah.
So there you go. That'll take us on to the final book of the week. This is a Patreon book every month on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. One of the higher tiers is to make me or Connor read a book. Connor's here is Undiscovered Country issue 3. Scott Snyder writing with Charles Soule also writing, and then an artist whose name I couldn't spell. So Carl will tell you who that is in a second.
Yeah.
You still didn't write it down, did you?
He didn't. No. He forgot.
Don't put it in the doc.
Wait, what? Right, well, no, I said I couldn't do that right now, so that's why it's not there.
Yeah, the implication there was right now. Like, you're going
Right.
to copy and paste it later before it got to this.
No. I meant before I put the text out for the show when I was publishing it.
Jeez.
Okay.
All right. Well,
There was
when
never-
you guys do this,
there-
I have to use the bathroom.
Yeah,
so.
there was never any chance of me doing it by the time we got to this point in the show. That was never on the table.
Fair enough.
All right, you talk for 10 minutes about this book. I'm going to go to sleep.
Yeah, I probably won't go that long. It's such a pretty quick issue. What's interesting here is the last two issues we've had flashbacks to. We had the brother and sister. They're part of the expedition into America. We had their flashbacks as to how they were recruited. We get a completely different character this time. Another one of the party here, so to speak, but not one of that family. So it's the first time we left that family, so it feels like a notable departure point. This is a guy called Ace Kenyatta, and he's kind of an American historian in the sense that he's trying to catalog the history of America since it sealed itself off, and he's trying to use what data and fragments he's got to build a picture. And he's got closer than you'd expect. The US, or not the US, the government of whichever one captured him, because obviously there's the two main sides that we have. They've got him, and show us some of his research, because they kind of pick him up and put him in a mental cell because he's a lunatic at this point, is what they think. And it turns out he's a lot closer to reality. He's figured out this spiral, and there's the different zones, and there's new social structures, new creatures, new land masses. They're completely independent of ecologic in these zones, which is kind of what we've been seeing, though, how weird it is. And he's got this plan that he wanted to try out. He had an old American dollar with it had silver on it. I don't know if it was entirely made of silver, or if it had like a silver coating, but it was actual silver. And the point that he wanted to do was he wanted to attach it to this bird and let the bird fly through America and come back to him. Because his theory is that there is some time shenanigans going on, that going inside of America, time is moving at a different pace to outside of America. So he's saying, it's been 30 years for us, but it might have been 50 or 70 for them. And he's got, a way to test it. He's got some chemical he can drop on the coin when it comes out, and it'll date it, essentially. It'll change a different color depending on how long it's been gone, how old it is. And he can figure that out then, as to the difference. But when he gets picked up by the government, they're like, no, we're not sending the bird. You want to do this, you can go in yourself. We need to send in an expert with this group anyway, so you're going in with them. And that's most of the flashbacks. So we'll get into the present day. They've infiltrated Destiny Man's camp. They're kind of working their way through. There's a marketplace and such. We get the bit with the brother having betrayed them in this because we find they get to his submarine where he tried to break in before, or in fact he did successfully break in. Even though it felt like he'd failed for the previous two issues, he did get in, and he says to us, I've been here before. Dad sent me a message and told me how to get in. He told me that this weak spot in the defenses, that's why I had to take a submarine, and it worked. And Dad's alive, even though you think he's dead. He is alive. And then he's like, she's like, what are you saying? What's going on? And Destiny, and he comes up and he's like, yeah, I told you I've been here before, and it's the real being a traitor. And I'm wondering if maybe Destiny Man is their father in some way. Would not be a surprise reveal, or is working for him in some capacity. But we get this bit where Ace is carrying the coin. He loses it at one point in there, and he has to run through the marketplace, and one of the vendors has picked it up and is trying to sell it, and insists on trading back for it. So he trades his watch, because it's like a digital Timex sort of watch, and he trades it for it, and he tests it. He goes, how long have we been in here? And it changes to various colors, and it ends on like a red color. And it's been it goes, it hasn't been 50 years in here. It's been so much longer than he could have imagined. He goes, and all through the issue he's been saying, I'm the key to us being able to leave. I understand what's going on in here. You need to keep me alive because I can get us out even without the pilot. I know what's going on here. And then he sees this coin change to this extent, and he goes, we can't ever leave. And it's kind of intriguing and compelling, because we don't know exactly how long this has been. We know it's at least older than 70 years, that to the 30 that has passed outside. But the fact that he's this terrified implies maybe longer. And they've only been here maybe a few days at this point at most. But the fact that he's terrified already, I dread to think how long has passed in the outside world to them. which explains a lot about the messages having transmitted and such. But yeah, no, really intriguing stuff. Art's again great throughout. This world's delightful. The colors are fantastic. This is another great issue. It was really nice to see it break from the family. It kind of told me that, okay, we're not just sticking with these two for the book. We're kind of exploring all of the group. And it leaves me interested to see who else we follow and what else we learn. I'm really intrigued of the mystery of this world now with the time dilation and these different zones. Yeah, I'm really into it. This is it's a solid 8.
Okay. There you go. Final book of the week, which takes us to the part of the show where we pick our favourites of the week. We do our best panel / moment, favourite art, favourite cover, and top 5 books. So, Matt, what is your favourite panel / moment of the week?
Oh man, from Jimmy? Is it from Legion? I don't really think this one through for once. Yeah, for once. You know what? I'm gonna go off of Jimmy. It's him telling Perry, you know, this is my interview. I brought you the scoop because I want to work. That was a pretty good moment.
That was good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with question on the horse, dual wielding, going out to get the bad guy.
That's pretty cool.
Art was gorgeous. Yep. Connor, what's yours?
Yeah, I was doing the same. The question on the horse. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, okay, all right. Best cover, Matt.
I'm gonna go with the Jimmy Olsen variant. That one I like a lot because it's got all of his different personas that he's been through, but it also got like a missing puzzle piece, which is exactly what this book is. It's a puzzle that you're trying to put together.
Yeah, Connor.
I'm just looking at them now, so give me a second.
Well, I'll just jump in.
I forgot to glance at these.
Lola Woods is good, but I think I'm going to go with the regular question cover, actually. I think the regular one looks really nice.
That one's pretty cool.
Dutch angle in the alleyway or whatever it is.
Yeah, that is nice. I'm going to go with the Flash variant, the Dustin Win one. I think it's really nice. It's kind of simple, but it's working for me.
Okay. So best art of the week. What you got, Connor?
Jimmy Olsen. Questions putting up a good fight. It's good stuff. But I think Jimmy Olsen is it's a little bit more versatile in its book, and it's just got a lot going for it.
Yeah, I'm going to be born here and just say the question, which is sweeping for me so far. I'm
going to clean sweep the other way for me is Jimmy Olsen. I like the different styles that Lieber was playing with in this one, with whether it was the crazy Jimmy stuff or the Lil Olsens, or then that really clean page with Lex and the dad. So
yeah, it's great stuff on it.
You can tell there's not a lot of books to pick from this week, can't you? So that'll take us out of top 5 books of the week. Matt, hit us with it. What are you doing?
No, number 1, shocker, Jimmy Olsen. Number 2 is I gotta look at them. Number 2 is The Question. Number 3 is Lola Woods. Number 4 is Legion of Superheroes, and number 5 is Freedom Fighters.
Connor.
My top 3 follows Matt in Jimmy Olsen, Question, Lola Woods, and then by default Aquaman, then Flash. Although,
Yeah. The beacon of positivity is always.
Hey, I really liked 3 of my 5 books. 4 if you count my Patreon.
Yeah, very good.
Wait, can I count the Patreon book in this?
No, you can't. No.
Oh, damn it!
My number 1 is Question, this of Vic Sage.
Shocked.
My number 2 is Lola Woods. Number 3 is Legion of Superheroes. Number 4 is Aquaman. Number 5 is Batman's Grave. Leaving only the Flash as the only thing that I read that didn't make my top 5. I'm shocked at that. So there you go. That is our picks of the week. So this is the part of the show now where I'll tell you what is coming next week from DC Comics. This includes all the stuff we are not reading as well. Out of at least the mainline stuff. Obviously, there's always these little weird things they release as well that I'll skip. But So what is coming next week? I will tell you. You're getting Basket Full of Heads number 4, Batgirl 43, Batman 87, Batman Beyond number 40, Batman Curse of the White Knight number 6. A lot of Bat stuff here so far.
Keep it going too.
Oh yeah, Batman Superman number 6. There you go. So that's that. Birds of Prey Giant. Is that the Azarella one? No, I get pushed.
No, that's
I get pushed.
one of those
that's
Giants.
one of the Walmart.
Yeah, that's one of those Walmart
ones.
things. Yeah. Never mind then. So Detective Comics 1019, Far Sector number 3. Metal Men number 4, Red Hood Outlaw number 42, Shazam number 10, Superman 19, Wonder Twins issue 11, and of course the meaty issue of Wonder Woman 750. And I know I phrased that as if it was the ending, but there's also Year of the Villain, Hell Arisen number 2.
Basically, Pete saw the list of all the Wonder Woman variants and forgot to, and just assumed that was it.
Yeah, I hoped it was it. Okay?
Yeah, so looking at these covers as we have them all laid out in front of them, Pete, which one are you liking the most?
Oh, let me switch to cover. I always put in list mode to read them.
Yeah.
Let me switch to gallery.
At a glance, because I'm not clicking on all of them, at a glance I'm going with the 90s.
Let me see.
What looks like to be a Bolland cover in the small.
Yeah, it looks like a Bolland.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 90s one does look very good, actually. I have to agree with that. However,
I'm really digging the 50s.
50s. A bit more old school bit more old school than I typically like.
That's a Frisian cover. Shocker.
Oh no, yeah. Now I look at it close up. That is quite nice.
Yep.
I think I'd still take the Bolland one personally.
Yeah,
but I mean,
nice.
That's a nice cover still.
I do like. Is this the 2000s? Is this the Adam Hughes? That one's pretty. This reminds me of Wonder Woman when I first got into comics. I think Hughes was doing the covers there. So
who's doing the 2010s? Jim Lee.
Jim Lee.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. It's not a bad cover.
I do like the Campbell 60 that you get the women's lib Wonder Woman where she stopped being Wonder Woman. She was Diana Prince.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think it's as compelling as a cover, but it's nice.
It's not, but it's also like, all right, well, I'm glad they're honoring that. But it's got that cool 60s vibe to it though too.
Yeah, I have to be bored and also pick the 90s. But it is what it is. That said, though, I also like the main cover from Jill Jones. While we're on the subject.
Oh, that is nice as well. Honestly, the one that I would say disappoints me in terms of who it is to what I'm seeing is the 70s, because that's Coipel. And I don't know. I feel like Coipel can do better.
Yeah, I clicked on that thinking it looked good from the thumbnail, but when I saw it full size, I wasn't as impressed.
Yeah. She got weird angles going on there. Like, that's...
Yeah.
But anyways, no, the Joel Jones one's good too. But so we'd have that conversation really quick.
Yeah, so that's what's coming next week. So there won't be a special extra episode. Me and Matt have decided that we're just going to do it as part of the main show and just have a lengthy episode.
So ram it through.
Yeah. Connor's missing next week, which is why it's just me and Matt.
Maybe.
Likely. It's not 100%. There's a chance I'll just be here, but I'm probably missing it.
All right. So it's a very big, hefty week. So despite the fact that there's only 2 of us, there's enough books that even
You'll
without...
have plenty to talk about.
Yeah, even without solicits and sales figures. Although, if we get the full list of sales figures for December, maybe we could redo that batch. But
have fun, Matt.
No.
I'm just trying to scare you, Matt. That's all. It's fine. We've done them for the month. You're off the hook for...
It's not long enough. My wife's like, why are you still recording? And I was like, reasons.
Wait, why are we... Hold on, why are we still recording? Don't blame me. Blame the 40 minutes of nonsense before we started. Blame that, which was mostly you two, if I recall.
No, because we spent way too much time on sales figures, man. There's 4 different ones.
3. There was 3.
I had fun talking to you guys about the stuff beforehand. So
yes, like the origin of the English language.
Exactly.
Bloody hell. All right,
let's wrap this up.
That has been episode 190 of Comics from the Multiverse. You can, of course, let us know what you thought of the episode and all the books we talked about in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on the Twitters at DC Comics Podcast. And you can support us, of course, in a number of different ways. You can rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars. More people will find us that way. You can share us on the social medias, and you can do it financially over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where you can do that for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses for your troubles. At the $5 tier, you get early access to the show by a day. You get it on Saturday night instead of Sunday at the usual time. That goes for previously in the Multiverse as well, so go check that out. I also take this time to thank our Patreon producers, which means there are $20 or above on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. So thank you to David Short, Alison M. Fordyce, Sandy Palacios, and Tyler Hess. So yeah, thank you to those guys. But that is us. I'll just recommend. We did end television to Multiverse this week. The last ever episode was this week. The ending of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And the reason why we're stopping that is because A, we don't want to watch most of those shows anymore, but also B, it gives us time to do previously in the Multiverse, and coming soon a return of Elsewhere in the Multiverse, probably by the end of February is my estimate on that, just based on...
End of February, Christ.
I said by the end of February.
Yeah, well, last week it was by the start of February.
I'm being realistic. I'm giving them realistic estimates, okay?
Jeez.
Fine.
You were like a married couple.
It's him. He's if he hadn't interjected, it'd be fine. I'd just continue with my outro. It's him. It's always him. All right. So that has been Comics from the Multiverse, episode 190. Thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, guys, and also keep on sending your questions to mftvquestions@gmail.com. We do have a couple in there for a later date. We'll probably whip them out on week 5. Not this month. There is a week 5 this month. Yeah, we'll probably do a couple of questions in week 5. So you can keep sending them in there if you want. But anyway, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, and remember that sometimes that's not the outro for this show. In fact, in fact, I never have to do that outro again. That was a Freudian slip, because I don't get to say that one anymore. But remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.
And don't forget, Lupe Pacino draws good.